Breaking news tonight. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has agreed to join Barcelona on a permanent deal for absolutely nothing. It's a free. Yeah, hello there, welcome back. This is the Transfer Show. It is deadline day, of course, just under 3 hours to go, and this is a huge one tonight. Aubameyang, free transfer, Barcelona, goodness me. We've got plenty to come on the show tonight. We've got Dharmesh and Carve with us once again. Of course, as always, they're going to be reflecting on all the big deals that are ticking along right now, but plenty more as well going on the show tonight. And a reminder, we are live on YouTube as well, so you can watch us there. And we've got reporters up and down the country, as always, keeping an eye out for any potential late arrivals. We've been picking up arrivals all day, haven't we, from various players. And a reminder as well, we've got Italian transfer guru Gianluca Di Marzio as well joining us a bit later on the show, so that should be fascinating to hear what he's got to say. But we have to start, gentlemen, with Aubameyang. Big developments in the last few moments. We've been following this one closely. Carve, I'll come to you in a second because you're clearly checking something out. So, Dharmesh, I'll start with you. What are we hearing? What's happened?
What a day of twists and turns as far as Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is concerned. It was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. Now it is well and truly on. It looks like Arsenal's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has played his last game for the club. It's a permanent deal to Barcelona. There is no fee involved. All parties, I'm told, are happy with the outcome of this. We expect him to have a medical tonight in Barcelona. And Arsenal, even though there's no fee, because he's got 18 months left on his contract, where they'll be paying him £350,000 a week, they will make a saving of around £25 million on Aubameyang. If we go back earlier on in the day, we know Barcelona were in advanced negotiations with Arsenal about trying to get this loan deal done until the end of the season. But then there was a bit of a twist, because then we saw Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang arrive in Barcelona when that deal had not been done. Now, we also knew that he was willing to take some financial sacrifices to get this deal over the line, and it's understood that with this contract that he will be signing with Barcelona, he has taken a significant pay cut to that £350,000 a week that he was on at Arsenal. Look, at one stage it looked like, even though the deal wasn't agreed and he was in Barcelona, there were people comparing this situation to something that happened 9 years ago to the day when Peter Odemwingie went from West Brom to QPR, parked up outside QPR when the deal wasn't agreed and not getting the deal done. We were wondering, was that the case? It's since emerged that, hold on, we think that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has gone to Barcelona because he's got family there and he's visiting them. We treated that with a bit of caution and a bit of suspicion, and so it's proved. We then got a press conference from Joan Laporta, the Barcelona president, who says we have hope that we can still sign Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And then since then, he's come out and he said, I think we can do the deal. And it looks like it is heading in that direction. There are 3 hours left in this transfer window, but it looks very, very likely now that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will move from Arsenal on a permanent deal to Barcelona. No fee, but Arsenal will make that saving of around £25 million in saved wages.
OK, Garvey, thoughts on this? What sort of, what's the legacy he leaves at Arsenal? What terms does he leave on, do you think?
Well, look, I think, first of all, it is a big risk by Mikel Arteta, because what happens if Aubameyang goes to Barcelona, scores lots of goals, Arsenal don't sign a replacement forward, there's only, less than 3 hours of the window left, Arsenal desperate to finish in the top four. So it just shows you how much Arsenal are backing the judgment of their manager, because their manager is saying, this guy, I know he's my best goal scorer, he's the club captain, he's the highest earner at the club, but for disciplinary reasons, I don't want him here, I want him out. So a big, big call, because Arsenal, unless they sign someone in the next 2 hours, 55 minutes, they will go into the second half of this season with just Lacazette and Nketiah up front. And those two players are out of contract in the summer. I know they've got other options in the forward areas as well. As far as Aubameyang is concerned, look, I think we should remember the good times as well, because there were a lot of good times. He's an exceptional goal scorer. I think his record is something like 93 goals in 160 games for Arsenal. He scored some very, very important goals for Arsenal. He scored 2 goals when they won the FA Cup at Wembley against Chelsea as well. He's an exceptional player. It's just a bit sad that it's ended the way it has for disciplinary issues. And from his point of view, I think the final incident was he was going to France, was it, to collect his mother, who was unwell, and he returned to London late, and that was apparently the final disciplinary issue. So it's sad that it's ended this way, but I think from Arsenal's point of view, he still has a lot of people at Arsenal who respect him a lot, who like him a lot. He's a very sort of charismatic character, and we're hearing that even the Arsenal commercial team are putting together a video to release to say goodbye to him officially. So I know he's left Arsenal under a bit of a cloud, but there are also a lot of good memories. And I think in history, people will look at his record and his ratio of goals to games, and it's right up there with the very best players.
Yeah, there were some great moments in trophies that they won because of Aubameyang. You know, you think of that FA Cup game, he scored a couple of goals in the final. But yeah, so he's on his way. And I guess just briefly on this, there's a lot of talk of Mesut Ozil and the way he stayed at the club for such a long time. And it's just, I guess, Arsenal from that point of view to move the player on if things aren't working out. And like you say, the money that they save on wages, that is a massive benefit to a club like Arsenal, isn't it?
100%. I mean, there's no fee, and people will say, how can you have let Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang go for no money at all? But it's those wages that Arsenal were desperate to get off the books, and it's a saving of £25 million, given he's got 18 months left on that Arsenal contract. I think initially, when the bids were coming in earlier on in the window, we heard from the Saudi Arabian clubs who'd made a loan with an obligation to buy, and that would have suited Arsenal. But all along, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had said he wants to return and play for a top European club. And from the outset, it didn't look like that was going to suit Arsenal, simply because we didn't think a top European club, especially a club like Barcelona or a Juventus, would be able to afford the wages. We thought if they go on loan, Arsenal would have to pay a portion of the wages. But what's happened here, that's why I said it suits all parties, because Arsenal now, it's not a loan, it is a permanent deal. They don't have the wages of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on the books anymore.
Have they got enough up front? I mean, you touched on it. I mean,
I think speaking to Arsenal supporters, they will say we are weaker now than when we were at the start of the window because of the players who've left the club. A lot of the players who've left the club, there's a sense that, you know, there was some housekeeping being done. There were players who weren't in Mikel Arteta's long-term plans. But Arsenal fans will be saying, look, what about a forward? We needed a forward. We were trying to sign Dusan Vlahovic. And OK, that didn't come off because the player himself wanted to go to Juventus. But how come there wasn't a plan B? I think in this instance, you have to back Mikel Arteta's judgment. That's what the Arsenal owners are doing. They are backing him to sort Arsenal out and to make them great again. The one thing I will say is that Arsenal are in a race to finish in the top 4. And you've got to say that, you know, that race for that 4th place is between Arsenal, West Ham, Manchester United, Spurs, Wolves as well have got a chance. And all those other clubs around them, apart from Spurs, haven't really strengthened this month. Spurs have brought in 2 players so far from Juventus, but Manchester United, West Ham haven't done any business really. So it's not just Arsenal who found it very difficult to do deals in this window. The clubs around them as well haven't really strengthened that much. But I just think if Aubameyang goes to Barcelona and starts scoring every weekend and Arsenal are dropping down the table, then I think Arsenal fans are going to be really unhappy.
But just very quickly, what I would say, I don't know whether you can say social media is a good gauge for how fans are feeling, because when you get to a transfer window, I mean, emotions are quite heightened, particularly towards the end of a transfer window, if a club hasn't bought players, and the fan base will say, well, why aren't we signing anyone? The facts of the matter are this. Look, Arsenal spent more than anyone else in the summer transfer window. Let's not forget that, 135 million. So they are backing Mikel Arteta. And nobody is saying here that Arsenal didn't try to go into the market in this transfer window. But January is notoriously a difficult time for all clubs. We've seen it for a lot of clubs throughout the Premier League to try and bring players in. And what clubs usually do, they focus on the summer transfer window because they look more long-term. But if a long-term target becomes available in January, that's when they will try and do business. You've seen it with Liverpool. Luis Diaz, it wasn't in their plan to bring him in this transfer window. He was a target for the summer. But because somebody else went in for him, they felt that they had to speed up that process, hence why they brought in Luis Diaz in this transfer window. And if you look at Arsenal, there are a few names that have been bandied about to me. Dusan Vlahovic, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one. Alexander Isak of Real Sociedad is another one. They did go for Dusan Vlahovic because we were told he became available in the January transfer window. But I don't think you can blame Arsenal because the simple facts are Dusan Vlahovic chose Juventus. He did not want to go anywhere else. And as far as Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Alexander Isak are concerned, as it stands, those two clubs in Everton and Real Sociedad aren't going to let players of their capability leave in the middle of a transfer window unless you get an astronomical fee. But then again, in January, when clubs can smell desperation, they will put valuations of players up. So maybe Arsenal have just taken a step back and said, look, we do believe we've got enough here. There is a fight for top four. And remember, yes, they did get knocked out of the EFL Cup. Yes, they did get knocked out of the FA Cup in the month of January, and it was all doom and gloom. But looking forward, they've only got the Premier League games now. So they haven't got this fixture pile-up that maybe some of the other teams around them may find that they have.
Is he right? Should Arsenal have brought in sort of backups, reinforcements?
I think looking from the outside, Arsenal fans would say we're now going into a crucial part of the season with just Lacazette and Nketiah. Should we have signed someone else? Obviously, Arsenal have tried and they haven't been able to sign someone else. And it shows their ambition that they were trying to sign somebody as good as Dusan Vlahovic. We shouldn't also forget that this is a great deal for Barcelona. They're getting a world-class striker for, what is it, nothing? Is it? There's no transfer fee or...?
No fee.
Yeah.
No fee at all. Barcelona must be thinking...
Best free transfer of all time?
We'll soon find out. I mean,
yeah, that's a great point.
A few of the parties here have had to make sacrifices as well because Aubameyang has had to take a pay cut, number one.
Yeah.
Barcelona will still have to pay big wages for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a player in his 30s. And Arsenal, yes, they probably did want a transfer fee for a player of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's capabilities, but they're looking at the bigger picture with regard to his contract. And the biggest fee that they wanted to save was that £350,000 a week.
It's going to be a fascinating last few hours of the window. There's a few teams now, I think, in the Premier League at the moment who are maybe just starting to think at this point now, in the last 3 hours, we still need one more. And is there something available that a team can do? Let's just get the latest on Dele Alli. He's on the brink of signing for Everton, isn't he? There's various reports floating around that there could be a twist in that one, or should we ignore those rumours?
Well, look, at the moment it looks like Everton are closing in on a deal to sign Dele Alli on a permanent basis from Spurs. There have been some reports that maybe Newcastle are trying to hijack the deal. We are trying to get some more information on that from our Tottenham reporter, but we haven't got an update yet. But what we do know is that Everton want to sign him. The deal could be worth up to a total of £40 million, but I think that depends a lot on how much Dele Alli plays for Everton. It'll be a 2.5-year contract. Apparently Frank Lampard was one of the key reasons behind why Dele Alli would want to move to Everton, because he believes that he's going to get a fresh start. Obviously, I think since Maurizio Pochettino left Spurs, he's had a bit of a difficult time under Jose Mourinho and also Antonio Conte. On his day, he's a very, very good player. I remember his performances for England at the World Cup in 2018. He was one of the standout players. He's been at Spurs for 7 years, I think. Twice he's been the PFA Young Player of the Year. He's just lost his way a little bit at Spurs because maybe from his point of view he thinks managers have come in and he hasn't had a chance to play as regularly as he used to. But hopefully Frank Lampard can get the best out of him. Although there is still a chance with 2 hours and 44 minutes of the window left that Newcastle will try and get him. That could be because they've missed out on Jesse Lingard. He could be an alternative target.
Yeah, keep an eye on that one. And Darmas, just about Fabio Carvalho, where are we with that?
Look, Liverpool are still pushing to try and get this deal done for the Fulham attacking midfielder Fabio Carvalho. He's into the final 6 months of his contract at Craven Cottage. Fulham, though, remain confident that he will remain at Craven Cottage until the end of his contract in the summer. That doesn't necessarily mean that a deal cannot be struck, because a club could come in for Fabio Carvalho and then allow him to return on loan to Fulham until the end of the season. I think Fulham, their priority is to have him for the promotion push until the end of the season. And if he doesn't have a deal in place in this month ahead of the summer, then come the summer, there's the opportunity for Fulham still to get some money if they are to release him as a free agent, because it will go to tribunal and he'll get a compensation fee there as well. But Liverpool, it must be said here, are one of a number of clubs who are interested in Fabio Carvalho. Fulham, they're just saying, just hold your horses. We're not going to just accept any bid here, because we know that there's a lot of interest in this player. We want to make sure that it's the right bid for the player, but the right bid for the Fulham Football Club as well.
OK, great stuff. Look, just another line on Dele Alli as well. Our reporter Paul Gilmore has just sent a line saying, to clarify, Dele Alli expected to be an Everton player. No danger of a late twist, he says. He's set on the move, and Everton and Tottenham happy. So, there you go. Dele Alli is going to be an Everton player. That's the words of our man Paul Gilmore, who's with Spurs today, of course, isn't he? OK, plenty more to come on the show, as well as time's ticking away towards the end of the window, and the window slamming shut later on. We're going to be joined by Sky Italy's transfer expert, Gianluca Damasio. He joins us with the lads next. Welcome back. This is the transfer show into the last 3 hours of the window. Italian football expert Gianluca Di Marzio is joining us in a bit in the show, but I just want to run through a few other lines with the guys, stuff that's been reaching us throughout the day. Donny van der Beek, Darmesh.
Yep, this one is done now. It was reported yesterday and he has joined Everton on a loan until the end of the season. He will then come back to Manchester United in the summer. He's got a contract at United that runs until 2025. They have an option for a further year. Everton will pay his full wages. That's probably why they got him ahead of Crystal Palace and Valencia, who weren't willing to do that.
OK. Carve, Manchester City. They've got their striker at a great fee as well for this lad as well.
I mean, this could turn out to be one of the best deals of the window. Manchester City have agreed a deal with River Plate to sign the young Argentina striker Julian Alvarez. Now, it looks like an incredible deal because his release clause was only about £14 million. That is what Manchester City are paying for a player who's widely regarded as being arguably the best young forward in South America at the moment. Somebody who Manchester City scouts have watched extensively. Now, he's going to stay on loan at River Plate until the summer, so we should expect to see him moving to Manchester City in the summer. What is interesting is, what does this mean for City's attempts to sign Erling Haaland? Because they're one of the favourites to sign Haaland this summer. He's got this £64 million release clause in his Borussia Dortmund contract. I don't think this means that Man City are not going to try and sign Haaland. This is just another striker that they've got. And at £14 million, it looks like a very, very good deal for Manchester City.
Brilliant deal, that one. Tottenham have had a busy day. We always spoke about Dele Alli going to Everton, but a couple of incomings, a couple of outgoings as well.
Still waiting for the confirmation of Dele Alli. Other outgoings, Tanguy and Ndombele going back to Lyon on loan with an option to buy for €65 million for Lyon. Brian Hill is going on loan to Valencia. Giovanni Lo Celso going on loan to Villarreal. Unai Emery in charge at Villarreal, of course. But there have been a couple of incomings as well. And I'm sure we'll speak to Gianluca Di Marzio in the next part about these two incomings. They're both from Juventus. One of them, the Swedish international winger, Dejan Kulusevski. He joins on loan with the option to buy for £33 million. And the Uruguayan international, Rodrigo Bentancur. He has joined on a permanent deal to Tottenham from Juventus for a fee believed to be around £20 million.
And Carve, Aaron Ramsey, Rangers fans really excited about this?
Yeah, Rangers are closing in on a deal to sign him on loan from Juventus. He's been having his medical in Glasgow. Now, what is interesting is the situation with his wages, because our colleagues at Sky in Italy are telling us that he earns about £200,000 a week before tax. Now, there's no way Rangers can pay that. I think the highest paid player in Scotland probably earns about £40,000 a week. So it looks like Juventus are subsidising these wages. People like Ali McCoist today, I heard him say this is Rangers' best signing since they signed Paul Gascoigne all those years ago. When could he play for Rangers? Well, bear in mind, he hasn't played for Juventus since October. But, of course, they've got the Old Firm game on Wednesday night. So if this deal is completed and if he is match fit, he could make his debut against Celtic.
Fancy that. What a debut that would be. And what a signing as well for Rangers. Plenty more still to come. As mentioned, we are going to be joined by Italian football expert Gianluca Di Marzio. That's next. Yeah, welcome back. This is the transfer show. We are into the last 2.5 hours left of the window. There's a lot of talk about Dele Alli, of course. He's signing for Everton. There was some talk of a potential twist in the tail with Newcastle being rumoured to be taking a late look at Dele Alli. However, we're told by our reporter Paul Gilmore, no danger of any twist. He's going to be an Everton player. He's set on the move. Everton and Tottenham happy with the deal there. So Dele Alli to be an Everton player fairly soon. We expect confirmation on that one. But we are now going to be joined, I'm delighted to say, by Italian football expert Gianluca Di Marcio, who joins us. Gianluca, thank you so much for coming on deadline day here on Sky Sports News in England. Really appreciate it. What do you make of this Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang story?
Hi, nice to meet you. Aubameyang is doing medicals with Barcelona, so I think that they will do the deal on time. It was a bit difficult, no, because Barcelona couldn't afford this deal for some hours, but then La Liga said okay, so now I think he's going forward like Dele Alli, as you said, with Everton. So Aubameyang, I think, will be Barcelona player tonight. They tried for Morata in the last days, but then Morata decided to stay in Juventus. Juventus decided to go forward with Morata, and so Aubameyang will be soon a Barcelona player.
Hi Gianluca, it's Darmesh here. You mentioned Juventus there. Tottenham Hotspur have gone into the market and signed 2 players from Juventus. What can Tottenham fans expect from Bentancur and Kulusevski?
Kulusevski is a very talented player. It's difficult to understand which is his real position, but I think Antonio Conte is the best coach to understand how to put Kulusevski in the right system. He's a very talented player, amazing player. Fabio Paratici was the sports director who bought Kulusevski from Atalanta to Juventus. Antonio Conte wanted him too when he was in Inter Milan, because in that Christmas time Inter and Juventus were in challenge to have Kulusevski, and so I think that Antonio and Fabio are the right couple, no, to let Kulusevski come back to his quality level. And Bentancur is a midfielder, important midfielder, and I think that he can be important for Tottenham. In the last months in Juventus, probably he didn't play so well because he needed to change. And I think that he can be an important player for Tottenham, and for Antonio to let him playing in the right way, because probably in the last period in Juventus he sat down, no, while he needs to be stimulated, and Antonio Conte is the right man to refresh Bentancur.
Gianluca, hi, it's Carve here. I just want to ask you a question about Aaron Ramsey staying at Juventus.
Yes.
What has gone wrong for him at Juventus? Because it looks like he's going to Rangers. Rangers fans are very excited. But why did it not work for him at Juventus?
Probably in the moments where he could play with Massimiliano Allegri in the middle of the field, in that moment he had injuries, and probably the intensity of Italian football too tactical probably for him. So a lot of situations that were negative for Aaron, and as I said with you in the Christmas special program, the important thing for Aaron was and is to change and some Premier teams wanted him, like Burnley, but he said no. And Glasgow Rangers is perfect for him. He needs the enthusiasm of the people. Is a loan with option to buy, so Rangers can transform this deal in a permanent deal next year and let Ramsey come back in his quality challenge.
Gianluca, just ask you about Duvan Zapata as well of Atalanta, a name that's been linked with Newcastle. Any chance they're still trying to get an attacker, we understand? Any chance that Zapata could make a late move?
No, I don't think so. It's too late in Italy. In Italy, the line is finished, so it's impossible for Atalanta to buy a replacement of Duvan Zapata. We knew that Newcastle tried, West Ham tried. West Ham tried for all this deadline day to sign Nunes from Benfica. They offered, as you know, 40 million euro, 45 million euro plus 5 of bonus, but Benfica wanted 10 more, and there was no time to do this deal. But West Ham needed a striker. I don't know which striker they are trying to sign in these hours, but not Zapata and not David Nunes anymore.
You met with Benfica. You mentioned the Italian window closed, but are there any other deals you're keeping an eye out for then across Europe?
No, I don't think so. No. Because all Italian teams did what they needed. So no, I don't think so. Only in Italy we can do with free transfer, like Diego Perotti. Do you remember Diego Perotti was a Sevilla player and is going to I think to sign with Salernitana today or tomorrow, because he can sign even tomorrow. But I think no other Italian players can go to some nations with the football transfer is open.
Gianluca, can I just ask you about one name that a lot of people are talking about this evening, Ousmane Dembélé? What do you think is going to happen with him? Will he stay at Barcelona? Will he move to PSG in the summer? Or could he move to the Premier League this evening?
Surely I don't know, because I was concentrated here with other transfer like Cabral to Lazio or something like that. But I knew yesterday that Paris Saint-Germain wanted to do this deal, but probably they didn't find the right solution to have Dembélé. But I can't help you, so I give you the responsibility to find the right solution and the right answer to these questions.
Gianluca, thank you so much for coming on. We know you will have had a really busy time as well, so we appreciate you taking some time out of your evening to come and speak to us on Sky Sports News. There you go. Great stuff. Fantastic to speak to Gianluca there. Guys, right, let's have a look at some of the other things that are going on here. And it was good to get confirmation, particularly, I mean, we'd heard about Zapata, hadn't we, as potentially a late move for Newcastle, but clearly that's not one that's going to happen. Similarly with Jesse Lingard. Or, you know, they tried again today, Darmush, but that's not happening either.
It's not just Newcastle who tried to get him today either.
Yeah.
I think West Ham United were in for Jesse Lingard on deadline day, but the issue that Newcastle United had in the past couple of weeks when they were trying to pursue a deal for Jesse Lingard, they needed to pay a loan fee, they needed to pay all of his wages, which they offered. But Manchester United, they added a loan bonus, and that bonus was dependent on Newcastle United staying up. And if Newcastle United did stay up with Jesse Lingard part of that squad, they would have had to have paid another 8, 9, 10 million pounds on top of the loan fee. Newcastle didn't want to do that, but they came back in today with another offer, and they came a bit closer to what Manchester United's loan bonus was. But by all accounts, Manchester United were simply not answering any of the calls that Newcastle United were making. And as far as West Ham United were concerned, it seemed to be a no-goer from the start, because they did not want to sell to what they perceived to be right now a top four rival.
And talking of West Ham, Gianluca again talking about Darwin Núñez at Benfica, someone that they were interested in. Lingard. They clearly wanted to add some attacking options to the squad, but David Moyes, it doesn't look like they've been able to do it unless there's a late twist for them.
I think as far as David Moyes is concerned, he's very careful, he's very cautious when it comes to the transfer market. Money was available for him to sign the players he wanted. I think it's clear for the last 3 windows he's been trying to sign another forward. He'd like to sign another centre-back as well, but the players that he wanted weren't available this window, and he wasn't sure about the players that were available. The ones that he wanted, West Ham, I think, tried to sign a few players, and other players, potential deals were put in front of them. For instance, Darmesh reported on Friday that there was a possibility that they could get Rafinha from Leeds. That always looked very, very ambitious, but that is what Darmesh had been told by very, very good sources. That was a possibility. There was a suggestion that the player would like to move, and also Calvin Phillips. That is another deal that had been put in front of them. I know West Ham supporters will be frustrated that, again, they haven't signed anyone, but they have tried. And you have to bear in mind that David Moyes has a very good record in the transfer market.
Because they've got money now as well, haven't they? I think West Ham fans would have been maybe thinking...
They've got new investment into the club as well. But if it had been possible to sign someone, I think they would have done it. But they weren't able to do it. And all the noises coming out of West Ham this evening are that they're not going to sign anybody this evening. But just on Lingard... I just wanted to turn the tables and ask you a question about this. Do you think now there's going to be some bad feeling between Manchester United and Newcastle United over the fact that Manchester United said if Newcastle want him, they have to pay a loan fee, his wages, and this relegation bonus? You know, if Newcastle avoid relegation, Newcastle will have to pay Manchester United £12 million. I just wonder, from a Newcastle supporter's point of view, what do people in Newcastle...
The fans going to be angry with Manchester United. Well, I think that Darmesh made a great point in the 5 o'clock that it maybe is an indication of Manchester United...
How worried they are.
Seeing Newcastle United as a threat all of a sudden. Not right now, but next season potentially, and the spending power that Newcastle could have in the summer. And they've managed to attract these players like Kieran Trippier from Atletico Madrid, players like Bruno Guimaraes, Brazilian international, to the club when they're in a relegation scrap. What are they going to be able to do when they're effectively equal first in the summer and everyone's on 0 points? And they've got that spending power.
And the interesting thing that Newcastle have managed to do, they've managed to sign the likes of Kieran Trippier, Chris Wood and Bruno Guimaraes and not have a relegation clause inserted in their contract. This is a Brazilian international who at the moment, there's a big threat, even though Newcastle have been investing, there's still a big threat that Newcastle could get relegated. So you could have a situation where Bruno Guimaraes, Kieran Trippier, they could be playing in the Championship next season, but there's no relegation clause. So they've signed up to the project of Newcastle United, not just what's happening this season and staying up.
Do you guys, I'm going to throw a question back at you. Do you think Newcastle have done enough?
I mean, they spent almost £100 million. If I was a supporter of one of the other clubs at the bottom...
You'd be worried?
I'd be a bit worried. I'd be concerned. I would be thinking, this is not fair. This is not right that Newcastle can just go out and spend all this money because of their owners and how rich they are now. But that's what football is like. You know, if your owners have got the money, they can go out and spend the money, and Newcastle have got very, very rich owners now. I think they've done good business. You know, you can see that Eddie Howe has been involved in this. The kind of players he's gone for, the core of the players he's gone for are players who have experience of English football. They have experience of the Premier League, so they won't need time to adapt. So I think they've had a very good window, and I think they've enhanced their prospects of staying up. I think if they'd had Jesse Lingard...
Yeah, perfect window.
It would have been perfect. I wouldn't be able to see Jesse Lingard being part of a side that are relegated. But
the other players they've got, I think, have made a massive difference to them.
OK, well, a couple of hours to go. Can Newcastle add a late attacker? Names coming into us all the time. We'll wait and see if any of them are able to come off. And they have, of course, brought in a couple of defenders, Matty Targett on loan, and Dan Burn. They're finalising that one as we speak. So plenty more, though, to come here on the Transfer Show as we approach the last 2 windows of this January. Last 2 hours of this January window. I've had enough. It has been a long one. Great stuff. See you soon. To the Transfer Show. It is deadline day. What a day it's been so far. What a show we've had as well, guys. And it's the last one, the January window. The last few moments of it. You guys have worked hard. And to tell you what, we're going to be reflecting on what has been a thoroughly entertaining window. But let's recap some of the big news that's happened this January. There's been plenty. What's caught your eye today, Domish? What's the one that you...
It's the one that's still ongoing. It's Aubameyang. Medical tonight in Barcelona. They've got, 2 hours, 11 minutes to get this one over the line. It's a permanent deal. It's a free transfer, but Arsenal will make that saving on the remaining 18 months of his contract, which represents a saving of around £25 million, which kind of accounts for it being a free transfer. They're making their money back in that way.
Aubameyang to Barcelona, and Dele Alli to Everton.
Yeah, this one's getting very, very close. He's having his medical. He's going to sign. We're being told the deal could be worth up to £40 million. But look, that's a big number. I think that will only ever be reached if he makes an incredible number of appearances. So I think we should treat that fee figure with an element of caution. But fast-moving situation at Everton. You know, they've appointed a new manager, Frank Lampard. He's got in there quickly. One of the problems has been midfield. They've had a lot of injuries in midfield. He's got Donny van de Beek in, which I think is a very, very good signing. Dele Alli as well. If he can get back to the kind of form we saw a couple of years ago, then he will be a very good signing for Everton as well.
No surprise that Frank Lampard, one of the greatest centre midfielders in the Premier League history, has come in and signed 2 centre midfielders on the day he arrives. A lot of Sunderland fans are getting in touch saying what's happened with Jermaine Defoe, but I guess the hours don't matter when it comes to Defoe, does it?
Sorry, Sunderland fans. I've been saying throughout the day that the final paperworks are being applied here before Jermaine Defoe signs that 6-month contract until the end of the season. Can I say the final paperworks are being finalised as we speak?
Yeah,
I think that's what's happening.
Final.
But you mentioned about there being no deadline to this. That's because Jermaine Defoe is a free agent, so it doesn't have to be done by 11 o'clock tonight. Of course, they want to get it done as soon as possible. I'm led to believe that there will be an announcement soon because it is getting close. But what a signing that would be for Sunderland. It will be a second spell there, 2.5-year spell back in 2015 to 2017, 37 goals in 93 appearances. So Jermaine Defoe close to becoming a Sunderland player once again.
There'll be a huge crowd there to welcome him for his first game, I'm sure, at the Stadium of Light. What about, we've spoke about Aubameyang, Carvey, going to Barcelona, but what about Ousmane Dembélé? Does Aubameyang's arrival, mean that maybe they are going to get Dembélé out?
Can I quickly just go back to something? I've got a message on Lingard. Somebody who's watching a show, a colleague of ours, and he says this. Actually, I've seen this around before as well. This point that maybe there is a bit of beef between Newcastle and Manchester United, and did it emanate from the fact that when Manchester United wanted to sign Longstaff from Newcastle in 2018? I think Newcastle quoted them something like 50 or 60 million pounds. I don't know if you remember that a few years ago. Could that be a reason why there's a bit of bad feeling?
It's different ownership. It would be a bit silly to blame the new owners for something that happened under Mike Ashley's watch, wouldn't it, if that was the case, that they quoted that. So I can't imagine there would be beef because of that.
So the only reason is because they see Newcastle as potential rivals, especially in the next window.
Well,
you keep pushing that line this evening.
Look, I'm going to say on the record, there is no beef.
Yeah. We're looking for conspiracy theory.
Yeah, building that one up. You're just trying to put me on the spot, aren't you? You love it. Right, what about... Can you answer the original question, Carvey? Any chance?
Dembélé. Look, quickly, this is a really complicated situation. He's out of contract in the summer. Barcelona spent nearly 140 million euros signing him from Borussia Dortmund. It hasn't worked out. He's been injured a lot. They want him to leave now because they do not want to keep on paying his wages for the rest of the season and lose him for nothing in the summer. I think the player himself wants to go to PSG. PSG were trying to do a deal. I think ideally PSG would take him on a free in the summer, but then other clubs have been looking at the possibility of trying to sign him now. There's been talk that maybe Chelsea are interested because of the connection. Thomas Tuchel obviously used to manage him when he was at Borussia Dortmund, but I'm not sure whether that is going to happen. Chelsea have got a lot of forward players. That's not necessarily an area they're looking at strengthening. But if the deal was put in front of them and the numbers made sense, I could see it something that Chelsea would pursue and try and complete. But it's not a deal that actively they went into this window trying to sign Ousmane Dembélé. But when a player like that becomes available for a knockdown price, then a club who have the financial clout of Chelsea they have to look at it. There's also lots of talk this evening on social media, totally unconfirmed, that maybe Spurs are having a look at him as well. But I don't know, time is really running out for Ousmane Dembélé to move anywhere. And you would think that maybe his advisors would be saying to him the safe option is to stay where you are until you're a free agent in the summer.
Quickly on Aaron Ramsey as well to Rangers. I love the look of that one.
Yeah, we were talking to Gianluca Di Marzio, who was telling us that Juventus just has not worked out for Aaron Ramsey. He's on big money there. He earns about £200,000 a week. He's going to Rangers. I think the top earner in Scottish football earns something like £40,000 a week. No way Rangers are paying that. So those wages are being subsidised by Juventus. He hasn't played since October, but of course, the next game for Rangers is the Old Firm game on Wednesday night. So if he's signed this evening, then you would think that if he's match fit, there's a potential that he could make his debut there. And he's at Ibrox at the moment.
It's pictured him arriving at Ibrox. So yeah. They've actually got 3 hours to get this deal done, remember, because the Scottish window shuts at midnight. Very quickly, before I let you go, one word. Best window.
Liverpool.
Villa.
OK, there you go. Fantastic. That's the end of the transfer. Newcastle. Yeah, that's the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay with us.
Good evening. Welcome along to Deadline Day. Less than 2 hours to go for clubs to do their business this January. And Dele Alli's proposed move to Everton is going right down to the wire.
We will keep you posted on that and all the other big moves of the night. And we are joined by 3 very special guests who are going to take us to the 11 p.m. deadline and beyond, of course. It's a warm welcome to Chris Boyd, to Shay Given and to Clinton Morrison as well. What a trio.
I know. Internationals. Woo. OK, we'll get their thoughts on what is likely to be the biggest move today. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's imminent switch to Barcelona. Donny van der Beek has had a nightmare at Manchester United so far, but it's a fresh start for him under Frank Lampard at Goodison Park. We'll hear from the Netherlands midfielder.
Newcastle have been left frustrated in their pursuit of Jesse Lingard, but they have strengthened at the back. Details to come. And much more on perhaps the most pleasing transfer of the day. Christian Eriksen's return to football 7 months after his cardiac arrest. So much to take you through this evening, and we're going to start with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and he has agreed a deal to join Barcelona, but it certainly did not look that way earlier on. Geraint Hughes is at the Emirates for this evening. Geraint, what a story this is. Take us through how it's all unfolded.
Twists, turns, U-turns. It's not quite sure how we've got to this point today because, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, it suddenly transpired he'd flown to Barcelona. We pictured him arriving at the airport. We're thinking, he's going to go there to speak to the club. Turns out he's got family just outside Barcelona. We then find out that talks between Arsenal and Barcelona had broken down because they couldn't come to an agreement over the finances. Then the Barca president, Joan Laporta, we have hope. Those immortal words, we have hope. And where there is hope on a deadline day, usually a way is found. And that is how it's transpired. But not quite as we thought. We were thinking a loan. But it's a permanent deal. Aubameyang's career at Arsenal is over. It's a permanent transfer to Barcelona. No fees, so it's a free transfer. He is going to take a significant cut on his wages. Arsenal are going to save a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money, on paying his wages. We estimate around £25 million on what's left on his contract. All parties, we understand, are happy as well. So that is how it's transpired. It has been one of those days where you thought, no, it's not going to happen. Oh, it's back on, and we've gone like this and like that. Zigzagging, U-turns, everything. We've had it. But it looks now, with an agreement between Barcelona and Arsenal for the permanent transfer of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from London to Barcelona.
Wow. Geraint, thank you very much indeed.
So, just want to say a special welcome to you, Shay, because you've not done this before. I know you have and you have, so anyway.
A bit nervous between these two, to be honest.
You should be.
They said they'd keep me right.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
No, we have kept you right early on, though, because we do need to tell a story a little bit about a pair of shoes.
This is a big transfer, wasn't it? This is the biggest transfer of the day.
Yeah.
My shoes to Shay's feet, wasn't it, Shay?
Well, 2 left feet. It was a schoolboy error. I was that excited coming in tonight. I packed 2 left feet. So thankfully Jules has got the same size of feet as me.
To be fair, they were close, though. One was a shoe and one was a boot.
Well, that's the Irish coming out, man.
They look much better on him than they do on me, in fairness.
Yeah, they do. They look smart. They look smart.
I think you could get an offer before 12 o'clock.
I'm going to start with you, though. Look, is this a good deal for Arsenal? Was there any way that he could have played for Arsenal again, do you feel?
I don't know. I think Arteta's put a stance down from the moment they sort of fell out. And I think if he goes back in that, he shows weakness to the rest of the squad. So I think he said, I've made my stance, he's not going to play for me again, and we have to get him out. We have to get the best deal for Arsenal. And obviously, he's on a huge contract, so they're trying to reduce the wage bill. But I just felt that maybe they could have used it to bring someone else in. It doesn't look like, I know we've got a couple of hours left, but it doesn't look like anyone's coming in to replace him. So that's a big worry for Arsenal.
Yeah, you mentioned the wages, Chris. I mean, that's a good deal to get those wages off Arsenal, surely.
Yeah, 100%, but, you've got to ask yourself, what kind of deals are he on at Barcelona, because of the reports they're struggling. Well, they are struggling. Yeah. So you've got to give them credit for getting the deal over the line. And Arsenal will just be glad to see the back of him now, because let's be realistic, since he has signed that new deal, it's just been Mesut Ozil over the back again. So it's disappointing, I think, from any Arsenal fan, because for a long period of time, he was a talisman. He was somebody, the go-to man. But the last few months it's turned sour, and it's disappointing because, as I said, Arsenal rewarded him, rightly so. In terms of his form at that time. But as I said, it's turned sour, and I think it's the best deal for everybody because, as Shea said, once the stance was made that he wasn't going to play, you can't have somebody like that hanging around your club. You need to get them out the door as quickly as you possibly can. And with the window open, you've got to say, what a move to Barcelona there. Not bad, Clinton.
Brilliant, mate, brilliant. Good move, though. It is a good move. He'll score goals. Whatever has happened there at Arsenal, he'll go to Barcelona and he will score goals, 100%. It's a difficult one because if he hadn't have moved and Arsenal hadn't done no business, Arsenal need a centre-forward. They've only got Nketiah and Lacazette. They're out of contract at the end of the season, so they definitely needed to bring a striker in. They haven't brought a striker in. They've lost Aubameyang. I thought, was there a way back? I don't think there was a way back to Arsenal because Arteta had to stay strong. He was strong before. If he then said there's a way to come back, then he'd look like a weak manager. So he's made that decision.
It's a victory for Arteta.
It is a victory. I think he wanted him out the door. He wasn't playing him, and I don't think there was no way back for Aubameyang. It's a great move for Aubameyang. He will score goals at Barcelona.
The other question is if they miss out in the Champions League duels this year and say Barcelona, he goes on to score loads of goals for Barcelona, then people will ask questions. Was it the right decision for Arteta to let him go?
Yeah. Wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see indeed. Look, Everton are expected to complete a deal that could be worth as much as £40 million for Dele Alli. So let's go straight to Vinny O'Connor, who's standing by at Everton then. Vinny, are Everton confident that they will get Alli over the line, do you feel, before the deadline?
Well, Vicky, I heard Geran talking about U-turns with Aubameyang and Arsenal, and there were rumours of a late twist here with interest from Newcastle in Dele Alli. The feeling, though, at Everton was that there was never really any danger of that ever since Chairman Bill Kenwright had thrashed out a deal with Daniel Levy. This afternoon, it seems that negotiations were pretty cordial between the two, and that deal agreed, as you say. It could rise to £40 million. It'll be made up of add-ons based on performance-related bonuses, really. And in respect of that deal, we expect Dele Alli to sign a 2.5-year contract with Everton. Frank Lampard playing a massive part in attracting Dele Alli to the football club. So on his first day in charge, it looks like Frank Lampard is about to complete 2 deadline day signings.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 because one midfielder's already signed today. So tell us about that one, Vinny.
Yeah, Donny van der Beek, he's been on Merseyside since early this morning. He was off-site from Finch Farm for a little while to go and complete his medical, but signing on loan until the end of the season from Manchester United. And he says that he's ready to go straight into the Everton team to face Newcastle next Tuesday. He is, of course, cup-tied for that game against Brentford in the FA Cup 4th round on Saturday. But again, Frank Lampard playing a big part in attracting Donny van der Beek to the football club. And earlier today, this is what Donny van der Beek had to say as regards his new manager here.
On that decision, of course, it was important for me. We had a good meeting, a long one, and I think we have the same ideas about football, and I think I can help the team, and we have great players, I want to help them.
What did Frank tell you about his plans for you and how he sees you fitting into his team?
I played in the past a few games against him. When I played in Ajax, he was in Chelsea at that time, and we play against each other, so he know me also as a player, and he think that I have some qualities who can help the team, and I think the same. So let's see. I have to work hard.
So far then, it's been a successful deadline day for Everton. A managerial appointment confirmed, backroom staff in place. Donny van der Beek confirmed on loan until the end of the season, and Dele Alli set to sign.
Thanks very much, Vinny.
We'll come back to Everton and get our guest view on all the signings today by Frank Lampard. But these are pictures just reaching us of Aaron Ramsey arriving at Ibrox tonight. The Juventus player linked with a number of clubs in this window. We knew the Turin side were keen to move him on. He was linked with Premier League sides. That hasn't happened. Instead, he has, arrived at the home of the Scottish champions Rangers and is all set to complete a move to them tonight. Not done yet, but once it is, we'll let you know. Got the right man in place here to talk about this. Chris Boyd, can you believe this? Aaron Ramsey to Rangers.
I've got the tissues ready for Shea.
The levels Rangers have to go to. The old firm game Wednesday night, they bring in Ramsey. It's a great signing.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I think, there's obviously been some Welsh internationals played in Scottish football in the past. But, when you think Aaron Ramsey, he's right up there, if not the best. And if this deal gets done, you've got to say Rangers, unbelievable bit of business. Unbelievable.
Especially for a player who apparently earns around 400k a week.
Oh, it's not too bad then. That's just a little bit less than what you're on in here, Jules, isn't it? But, no, I mean, I think with the World Cup qualifiers coming up as well, he's not played a lot of football. It's going to give him an opportunity to get back playing football. Fantastic football club. I think what it does show, though, is that Rangers and Celtic, the size of football club that both of them are, they're huge organisations, and to get a deal done like this, yes, you've got the money in the English game, and by the way, it's impossible for Rangers and Celtic to compete with that. But if you've got signings like this, we're maybe just looking for a little opportunity to get back playing football, it's a fantastic place to go. Rangers and Celtic, for that matter, and I think that for me, it's a great move for both parties.
Could this be a game-changing move in the title race, Shay?
Well, obviously it's a big game Wednesday. I'm hoping they go up and get a ticket for, but it's a massive game Wednesday. Obviously it's 2 points Rangers ahead, is that right, buddy? And what you say, when they sign someone of Ramsey's stature and quality, I'm really surprised that no Premier League clubs have looked at him. Look at maybe Newcastle and even Everton today. I think he's good enough to play in the Premier League. We spoke off air. He thought maybe he's not had enough game time for Juventus, so maybe going to Rangers is the perfect sort of place to get the match fitness back, But it's a real marquee signing for them, for sure.
It won't be easy for him, though. It won't be easy for him, though. I mean, there's one thing, we've seen big names come up in the past to Scotland. So if you don't get up to pace with the Scottish game pretty quickly,
he'll score goals. I'm in agreement there with Shay.
100%.
It's a great.
What I'm saying is it won't be easy. You're not going to just go up there and think, by the way,
I agree with you because he's not been playing, but for the life of me, it's an unbelievable signing for Rangers, because I don't understand how no Premier League club, or if any Premier League club, haven't come and took him. Because I'm talking at the lights. Shay's right. Newcastle, you need a goal-scoring midfielder. Why have you not gone and got Ramsey? Why not get him?
Injury record has put
I don't know. I understand.
Involved, that's it.
No, I get what you.
Is it time for a break?
Yeah. but what I'm trying to say is, you look at someone like a Newcastle. I'm surprised they don't go and get him. He's a goal-scoring midfielder. But you know what? It's a great move for Rangers.
Doesn't that show the measure of where Scottish football's at then at the moment?
As I said, I think when you look at obviously Steven Gerrard, Brendan Rodgers was there before Steven as well. The names are there. There's been some quality names over the years. Obviously, Rangers are now back, and I think when you look at the winner of this is going straight into the Champions League as well. So you're maybe looking to say, can we push on? And Rangers, Shay says, 2 points clear at this moment in time. A big game on Wednesday night. I think a lot of Celtic fans are getting ahead of themselves right now, but Rangers are still top of the league. I might beat my words on Wednesday night. But I think as it stands right now, Rangers in a good place, and this signing has just shown the strength of the two football clubs. Yes, there's obviously problems with finances in Scottish football. We get that, but I think from Ramsey's point of view as well, he obviously wants to play football, and you can see him there. He's got a smile on his face. He's not played for a long time. Trust me, once he walks out in front of those fans, he will understand the size of that football club, and it's a fantastic move for both parties.
Worth just remembering it's a midnight deadline in Scotland, so they've got a bit longer to get the Ramsey deal through at Rangers. In England, though, the deadline is 1 hour, 46 minutes away. We're getting close, Vicky.
We certainly are. So, as we were mentioning, Dele Alli all set, of course, to join Everton. It's been a very busy day at Spurs, so let's cross live to the Tottenham training ground, and Paul Gilmore's been there all day for us. So, Alli isn't the only high earner to have left the club today, is he?
No, he isn't, Vicky. I've never been worked so hard on deadline day at Tottenham. It has been a busy day, hasn't it? And they have made significant progress, you have to say as well. Tanguy and Dembélé, the record signing, out on loan for 6 months with an option for Lyon to buy him for the fee that Tottenham paid for him, £54 million. Also Giovanni Lo Celso option with option to buy following a loan as well, and Brian Hill, who is expected back here after his loan spell against out at Valencia, and he will obviously hope to come back a better player. So they're moving some players on. Dele Alli, of course, has gone stale. We're not expecting any late twists. That deal is expected to go through. Dele Alli has been having his medical ahead of that 2.5-year contract. The transfer fee could be worth up to £40 million based on appearances. So it feels like they're following the Antonio Conte plan. They're really backing the manager here, because I think there was always a realistic expectation from all parties that the winter window would always be difficult. where they will really be judged and the Antonio Conte Tottenham era could be defined is in the summer window. But they're taking small steps. Of course, Kulusevski and Bentancur coming in, and just that will appease Antonio Conte as he finishes the season, hopes to finish the season strongly. Just to finish on Dele Alli as he prepares to end a 7-year spell at Everton, Frank Lampard, we're told, was hugely influential in making that deal happen, and talking to Dele Alli and selling him the vision that he can get his career in a World Cup year, it has to be said, back on track at Goodison Park. And it reminded me of just some quotes from Frank Lampard to Sky Sports back when Dele Alli scored against Watford in 2017. Frank Lampard said, "Dele Alli is a special player. He is better than me when I was 20, that's for sure. He's got the knack for runs, he scores great goals. Too many attacking midfield players get towards the penalty spot and then stop and don't go that extra mile, but there's so many goals to be had, but he does." So glowing references from Frank Lampard from back then on Dele Alli, and he is now managing him with the task of getting Dele Alli back on track.
Yeah, he certainly is. Thank you ever so much, Paul. OK, next we head to Liverpool's training ground to get the latest on their pursuit of Fulham's Fabio Carvalho.
And they had Sergio Aguero for a decade. Now Manchester City have another Argentinian striker looking to earn legendary status at the club. More on him too.
I'm in.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in.
Welcome back. We knew, of course, Newcastle were going to be busy with just the 1 hour and 40 minutes to go, didn't we, on this deadline day? And it's proved the case, hasn't it? A mix of done deals, disappointments, and wait and sees. And Keith Downey joins us live and has all the details. So, Keith, good evening to you. Newcastle tried to sign Jesse Lingard. That one fell through, though. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Vicky, I think the day for Newcastle United supporters
promised a lot more this morning when we brought you the news that they'd reached a deal for Hugo Ekitike, the Stade Reims striker. And then when mid-afternoon we found that the player had decided against moving here and Newcastle had turned their attentions to Jesse Lingard, it seemed as though the supporters were going to get their wish. They really wanted to see Jesse Lingard in a Newcastle shirt on loan until the end of the season. But eventually Manchester United, and not the player like it was with Ekitike, dug their heels in and decided that he was to stay put at Manchester United and fight for his place there. So that left Newcastle, who'd hoped to add one of those two forward options, without either of them. And I have to say, it's just left them a little bit light up front, that injury to Callum Wilson. And yes, they've signed Chris Wooden as a striker, but they're a little bit short in the attacking third of the pitch. And I think that's them really for the window. I know there's still like an hour and a half to go, but I think that's them. There was a slight whisper that I received around an hour or so ago that they may go for Duvan Zapata on loan from Atalanta. I'm told that is not the case. And then of course we heard that rumour as well regarding Dele Alli and whether Newcastle were interested in him, but it sounded as though he was already undergoing his medical at Everton. So it looks as though in the striking department Newcastle will have to go with what they've got. But I think overall they'll be fairly pleased with the window in terms of the number of players they've brought in. And remember, they signed Bruno Guimaraes yesterday from Lyon for a near club record fee of £40 million. So they have made real inroads this window, but they've just been caught that little bit short up front without adding either Ekitike or Lingard today. They'd hope to get at least one of those in.
Let's talk about the back then. They have got a deal over the line, haven't they? That's with Matt Targett arriving. He's not the only one coming to St James's Park as well, defensively.
Yeah, Dan Burn is currently finalising his medical. He didn't arrive until 4 o'clock this afternoon after that deal was agreed with Brighton. £13 million for the defender to move here. He's a boyhood Newcastle United supporter from the town of Blyth, just up the road from here. So I think it's a dream move for him. As I say, he's going through his medical. That one should be finalised very soon. So he'll come into the heart of the defence. We saw him arrive here earlier. Then the other one you mentioned there is Matt Targett, the Aston Villa left back. He's fallen out of favour since Luca Digne signed for Villa. Ironically, a player Newcastle attempted to get earlier this window, Digne, but it's Targett who's come here on loan, so he completed that move earlier on today. So yeah, 2 in the door. Targett complete, that's been announced. Burn hasn't, but I'm told everything going positively with that, and that should be announced soon. They didn't quite get the striker, the forward in they wanted, but I think when they look at the window throughout over the piece, I think they'll be fairly pleased with the business they've done, given their predicament at the foot of the Premier League. And Eddie Howe's going to have to take on that relegation battle with the players that he's got now at his disposal, unless there is something really late that comes up, something that they weren't expecting.
Yeah, there could be a twist in the tale. Thanks for now, Keith.
Well, let's see what the guys think of what Newcastle have done this month. Shay, we'll start with you. I mean, we knew that they were going to try and make their mark in the window, their owners. Have they done that, would you say?
I think they have. I think there's an optimism in the city. I spoke to a few people today on the way down the road. They're excited again. I think there's hope, there's belief that they can stay in the division. I mean, you look at the players they've signed, and it's players who, apart from obviously Bruno, it's players they know the league. They know what it's all about. Dan Burn hopefully get over the line tonight as well. He's playing really well for Brighton. He's a local lad from Blyth up in Newcastle, so I think they love a local player as well to come on the team. So I think that'll give them some strength at the back, because they've been leaking too many goals this year. And obviously the 2 full-backs with Targett now coming in on loan, and of course Kieran Trippier is a fantastic sign, I think. So I suppose every fan will want more. I think the squad's been under-invested in the last few years, so they had to play catch-up a little bit. I think that's why they're in a relegation fight. But I think Eddie Howe, after the window closes tonight, will be relatively happy.
Well, yeah, most Newcastle fans are used to being observers at this point on deadline day, normally, aren't they? And here they are, still waiting to see if they might get a deal over the line. I mean, Lingard is the one that Newcastle fans have been following really closely for the last few hours. How disappointing is it that they couldn't get him in?
Yeah, I mean, Lingard's a funny one, because he done well, obviously, last year at West Ham, and then I think he had a year left in his contract in the summer. For me, that was the time for him to strike. I don't know if his dad looks after him or whatever, but sometimes agents get a bad name, but sometimes agents get the deal done and get it across the line. Now it looks like he's not going to go anywhere, and maybe he played 80 or 90 minutes in the full season. Could come next summer. He's not played all season, and then he's in a worse position, if you ask me. He's a year older.
Yeah, I think after his spell at West Ham, he probably thought he was going to go back to Man United and have a chance of playing.
But didn't, so it would have been perfect for Newcastle. Of course, Lingard's a fantastic player, but it's a difficult one now come next summer. If he's not played for a full year, you know, his value drops.
Yeah, I mean, Carve was just alluding in the show earlier that there could be a bit of bad blood between Newcastle and Manchester United in terms of what happened to Longstaff not going there and they upped the price and so on and so forth. So, well,
They still not got over Alan Shearer turning them down.
potentially. You never know. Look, we're going to move on though. Look, let's turn our attention to Liverpool. They continue to work hard to sign Fabio Carvalho from Fulham. Craig Slater joins us live from the club's training ground now. So, Craig, is there a will from both parties for this deal to get done, do you feel?
Yes, I understand there is. I mean, the lights are still on here in Kirkby, Liverpool's training base, and transfers could still be on, incoming and outgoing as well. In terms of Fabio Carvalho, we know what Liverpool have offered. We understand they offered £5 million to Fulham for his transfer, with the added sweetener that they would loan him back to the South London club. Continue their push to achieve again Premier League status, but Fulham are driving a hard bargain. They're holding out for more for a player they see as one of their top assets. 19 years of age, England youth international, 8 goals in his last 17 appearances for the club. And you know, negotiations have been described to me as professional and respectful, and there has been significant traffic in the last couple of years between these two clubs. You're thinking of Harry Wilson going to Fulham from here for £12 million, but maybe more significantly, Harvey Elliott's transfer the other way for £4.3 million. Now, that was via a tribunal. Fabio Carvalho's out of contract in the summer. If he were to go to another English club, the fee would be set by tribunal. He's a much more established player than Elliott was, so perhaps he would command a fee well in excess of £5 million, which perhaps explains why Liverpool want to get this done now rather than wait until the summer. And the jeopardy for Fulham is that if they were to wait until the summer, if Carvalho went to a European club, they risk losing him without a fee at all. So you can see the different pressures involved in this transfer situation. But Liverpool, I think, still optimistic they can get this done. In terms of outgoings, well, Nico Williams, we've been linking the young right back with a loan move away. He's under a long-term contract here, but can't really get any chances in the first team at the moment. We thought Bournemouth might be a destination for him. His club mate Nat Phillips has gone there on loan today, but we're now understanding that Fulham are perhaps looking to the potential in taking him. So perhaps that has entered into the discussions around Fabio Carvalho, that perhaps Nico Williams could also make a move in the opposite direction to Fulham. So still some business to be done here, we think, by the end of the window tonight.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Craig. So just to you, Clinton, on this one, I mean, that's a great signing, isn't it, Carvalho? He's a fabulous little player.
He's a player. He'll lighten up the championship with Fulham. He's got so much ability. He'd fit in at Liverpool. I think if they sign him, they'd leave him on loan to Fulham to the end of the season, because I think Fulham got a great chance of getting promoted to the Premier League. But he excites me. He's a talented individual. Jurgen Klopp would get the best out of him, but he glides past people for finding the championship. Really top talent. So hopefully Liverpool can get the deal done.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got Harvey Elliott in those sorts of positions, and obviously he's going to come back from injury at some stage, and you know, so I mean, I can see what they're trying to do.
Yeah, but Harvey Elliott and the young boy Kate Gordon, they can play on the wings. Carvalho likes to play in that number 10. I think they've been missing a creative player. I'm not saying he's going to go to Liverpool and go straight into the team. It takes time. You have to buy into what Jurgen Klopp's doing at Liverpool, but he's got tremendous talent, and he'll never lose that talent. So I think it'd be a great signing.
Okay.
Rangers fans, we are on Aaron Ramsey watch, just to let you know. On the Rangers Twitter in the last couple of minutes, one of those arty videos with the word ready and the fist pump. So we think it's imminent. So, one of them. So as soon as we've got news from Ibrox Rangers fans...
This guy won't be quiet. I'm glad this is...
Take one to know one,
but I'm glad it's happening. Then we still got another hour and a half where we don't have to talk about it.
Come on. Can we change seats?
As I was saying, if we have any news on Aaron Ramsey, which should be imminent, Rangers fans, we will let you know. And also, when we come back after the break, we're going to go live to Chelsea, because with Aubameyang going to Barcelona, does that free up Ousmane Dembélé to leave Barca dramatically in the last hour and a half of this window and maybe head to the Premier League and maybe head to Stamford Bridge? That's where we are heading live next. Less than 90 minutes to go until the transfer window closes. There is one big deal amongst many others we are watching very closely. Ousmane Dembélé, who is the fourth most expensive player of all time. Barcelona want him to leave the club. Could he tonight be coming to the Premier League and signing for Chelsea and meeting up once again with his former boss, Thomas Tuchel? Let's get straight to Stamford Bridge. Gary Cottrell is there for us. I mean, Gary, we're going to follow this one right up to the deadline and maybe beyond. This is intriguing. What are you hearing?
Well, let's hope that there is still a chance for this deal to happen. There was certainly a buzz, a real vibe around this place late this afternoon, early this evening. Last night, this morning, PSG looked set to sign Dembélé, but that deal collapsed for financial reasons. And then about 4 hours ago, we heard that Chelsea had been told that they again had the chance to sign Dembélé, not for the first time this January. And then an hour after that, we heard that they'd made a further inquiry about Dembélé. Thomas Tuchel obviously enjoyed his time with him at Borussia Dortmund. It's 5 years ago or so that he left for Barcelona. At the time was a record transfer, still only 24 years old. But that deal, because that inquiry came so late, it would have to have been a really, really quick deal to do. And it seems at the moment that it wasn't that, because of wages, because of the clock ticking down. And I think the scenario now is, although Chelsea want to sign Dembélé, and Dembélé would certainly welcome a move to Chelsea, it's more likely to happen in the summer when Chelsea can get some wages off their wage bill, when they can really organise this deal without too much of a hurry, without too much frenzy. But for a while this afternoon, still this evening, an outside chance, but there was a real big chance a few hours ago, because Barcelona, as you say, wanted to get his wages off their payroll. That urgency has gone away a little bit this evening, because Aubameyang's flexibility on his wages means that they can afford Aubameyang and they can afford for Dembélé to stay for a bit longer until the summer. So at the moment, it seems Dembélé in the summer to Chelsea, but not, as we speak, tonight.
Never say never on deadline day. Gary, thanks very much.
OK, let's go live to Ibrox to get more on this breaking story on Rangers' attempts to sign Aaron Ramsey from Juventus. It's the one that Chris is really excited about. Mark Benstead is done. Well, we think he's done. Mark, is it a done deal? Tell us.
Yeah, good evening from Ibrox. Yes, the news that Rangers fans have been waiting for all day has been confirmed. Aaron Ramsey is now a Rangers player. The club have confirmed in the last minute or two that he has signed on loan from Juventus until the summer. Speculation raging all day that it could happen. We got word he was in the city this afternoon for talks. He arrived here at Ibrox just before 9 to finalise the final stages of that move, and it has now been confirmed. Some quotes from the player have been released over the course of the last couple of minutes as well. He says, "I am really pleased to be joining a club like Rangers, where there is so much to look forward to between now and May. I had a number of offers on the table, but none matched the magnitude of this club, with European football and the chance to play in front of 50,000 fans every other week. I've had some fantastic conversations with the manager and Ross Wilson, and I'm really looking forward to working with both of them and to meeting the supporters." Also words from the boss, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, as well. He says, "I'm absolutely delighted that we've been able to add a player of Aaron's quality, experience and leadership to our squad. As soon as it was mooted as a possibility, I was really keen for us to try everything to get the deal done, and huge credit must go to Ross and to the board for the work they've put in on this. I look forward to welcoming Aaron to the training centre tomorrow." Also quotes to add from Sporting Director Ross Wilson. He says, "This is a really exciting signing for both Rangers and Aaron. As soon as I was made aware of the opportunity we had to bring Aaron to Rangers around a week ago, we have worked really hard to secure his signature. Not only is Aaron a world-class player who'll play a key role in our team, his level of ability and professional standards will be an inspiration to our existing players. We see Aaron as a leader, a quality player and a wonderful character to bring into our club. I've admired his career since his emergence at Cardiff and across Arsenal, Juventus and with Wales. We're all looking forward to working with him closely." So, yeah, the deal is done, a huge deal. You know, at the start of the day, it kind of emerged, there were rumours. I think most football fans across Scotland dismissed it. Even Rangers fans didn't think it would be possible. But it started to get word through to us it could be on the cards, and now it is done. Aaron Ramsey is a Rangers player until the end of the season. A huge coup for Rangers and a huge boost in what is a huge week, of course. It is the week of the Old Firm game, and they've got a quality player added to their ranks.
They certainly have. Thank you, Mark.
Chris, let's just get another word from you. I mean, the caveat is it's a loan deal to the end of the season, but still, it's Aaron Ramsey. I mean, how big a statement, how big a coup is this for the club?
I think it shows Rangers Football Club are one of the biggest in the UK. You know, having obviously turned down English Premier League clubs to go to Rangers. I think Aaron Ramsey speaks about playing in front of 50,000 fans, European football, chance to go and win trophies. It means a lot. I mean, I don't think he's obviously not motivated by money, or he wouldn't be anywhere near Rangers. Albeit, you know, we're led to believe, or we do know, that it's within Rangers' wage structure, so there's not any problems there. But you've got to say it's a fantastic signing, not only for Rangers Football Club, but for Scottish football as a whole. You know, I don't think maybe tomorrow, once it starts to sink in for a lot of people, you know, when you really think about it, probably the arrival of Paul Gascoigne or something like that was the last big time when you thought, whoa, you know, as a proper football player arrived in Scottish football. And that's exactly what Aaron Ramsey is. Fantastic coup for the football club. But again, it just shows you the allure and the size of Rangers.
Chris, very happy with that bit of business for his old club. Have we got anything for Clinton and his old club, I wonder?
Might just. Let's take a look at Crystal Palace, shall we?
We're all right.
They're hoping to sign a forward from Derby, but they need to get approval on this deal. Michael Bridge can explain the details of this transfer. What have you got for us, Michael?
Sorry, Becky, I can't see the lights coming through from Boydie's teeth from that grin from the Rangers news. But yeah, I have.
Go on, Bridgie boy.
Right. Good news potentially for Crystal Palace. Right, so I'm getting this in from Crystal Palace right this second. Mateta, any minute now, confirmation that his loan is going to be turned into a permanent one. Patrick Vieira's been very happy with him all January. He wants him now on a permanent deal. Now, Luke Plange, you mentioned there, from Derby County to Crystal Palace for around £1 million. That's not yet to be announced. Palace always looking in the AFL for top targets. Remember, Michael Elisa, I reckon one of the bargains of the summer, £7 million from Reading. Now, that looks to be done as well. Here's the key as well. People have asked, can he go back to Derby on loan? We understand he can. More information on that as we get it. But my colleague Rob Dorset is looking into that as well. But if you remember, James Maddison went from Coventry to Norwich, then went back on loan to Coventry. So it's not a Derby-only situation there. But more on that as we get it later. But yes, Luke Plange on his way to Crystal Palace, and Mateta joining on a permanent deal.
Bridgie, never mind that. Nobody's interested in Crystal Palace, and neither are you. What do you think of the Ramsey deal?
I think it's fantastic. A great boost for Rangers. And they've dropped a little bit, you know, conceding that goal against Ross County the other day. But that's just the boost they need. Top player, fantastic. A great title race going on up in Scotland. Cheers, Boydie.
We are interested in Palace, don't you dare?
Yeah, I was only doing it because of Clinton, because I know he tries to say
he can
he's
say
not a fan.
he can say that no one ain't interested. If Palace played Rangers, we'd beat them easily. So don't worry about it. They'd want to take at least 5 or 6 of our players.
Oh my!
Don't worry about that. Anyway, what are we saying, Jules? Vicky.
No, carry on, please do.
Oh, we want to talk about Palace. He's had his Aaron Ramsey. He's happy.
We'll have a quick chat about Palace.
It's the biggest transfer of the day. We'll be back to it shortly, Clinton. Come on,
it's not a bad. It's not a bad transfer. It's good. It's good for Scottish football. It's good for Rangers. Let's move on.
Again, Shay, I'm sorry you're stuck in the middle of this. We did think it might go this way, so apologies for that.
That's why we put you in the middle.
Anyway, listen, we'll keep an eye on Palace for the rest of the evening. A lot of deals have already happened today, including Manchester City, who acted nice and swiftly to bring in a new striker. Julian Alvarez has signed from River Plate. The fee is in the region of £17 million. Anton Tolui joins us to tell us more about this one. Anton, what do you know about the deal and just how highly rated is he?
Exceptionally highly rated, Jules. Look, Manchester City have signed the reigning South American Player of the Year. Alvarez was part of the Argentina squad that won Copa America, captained by Lionel Messi this summer. He's also won Copa Libertadores earlier in his career. He's averaging a goal per every 90 minutes in the Argentinian top flight this season. They're signing a player who couldn't really done much more in South American football over the last few years. He will remain, however, on loan until the end of the season in Argentina. Marcelo Gallardo, the River Plate coach, even hinting he'd like to keep him for another 12 months. So it might be a little bit of a while for Manchester City fans see Alvarez here at the Etihad. But look, the fans are very excited all season, haven't they? Been clamouring for a new striker, even though they're 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League. An Argentinian forward lighting it up at the Etihad. Sound familiar?
I'll have to wait a little bit to see what he's really like, but certainly the credentials sound great, don't they, for Manchester City? What a player he sounds.
Absolutely. OK, what about this as a story then? Christian Eriksen back in the Premier League after signing a 6-month deal with Brentford. It's a remarkable return, of course, for the Denmark international after having a heart device fitted following that collapse at Euro 2020. Let's hear from the man himself on the move then.
Hi everyone, it's Christian Eriksen. I'm happy to announce that I've signed for Brentford Football Club. And I can't wait to get started, and hopefully I'll see you all very soon.
OK, so that was the man himself. Let's go live to Becky Williams, who's at the Brentford Community Stadium for us. Good evening to Becky. Look, how big a signing is this then for Brentford, do you feel?
Oh, it's absolutely massive. It's a win-win signing, without doubt. The fans are hugely excited here. He's not due to arrive for another few days or so. I don't think he'll feature in the Everton game because, of course, he needs to embed in the squad. It's been, 7 months since he last played competitively, since those scenes that we saw at the Euros when he collapsed on the pitch. But what an incredible comeback he's made. He's been training. We heard from Thomas Frank how he's been building up his fitness, but he certainly needs to get match fit, and that will be the focus. Brentford have slipped down the Premier League table ever so slightly of late, and they'll need a boost. I hope that Christian Eriksen can bring not only experience but flair, hopefully some goals as well. And for Eriksen, his eyes will be on the World Cup later on this year. So like I say, a lot of excitement here at Brentford. We've seen some of the fans even trying to get his shirt today. Here's what some of them had to say to me.
Very exciting player to get at this club. Hopefully he's fully recovered from his problems he had in the summer, but I think it'll be a big asset for the club, and hopefully he'll stay longer than 6 months.
So I'm very excited to see him playing for Brentford. I can't believe that he's back and playing for this club. It's such an amazing story, really.
Watching what happened with him in the summer, you know, it was like really scary to see, and it's just so great that he's back and that Brentford is part of that, you know, and we're so lucky to have him.
He can bring so much, but especially his set pieces. He's so good at corners, and he'll be very good at free kicks, so hopefully we can score from corners and free kicks now.
Yeah, won't it be great to see him back on the pitch and playing in the Premier League? Just one last bit of news here from Brentford. A last-minute outgoing in the form of forward Marcus Forss. He's moved on loan until the end of the season to Hull. He joined Brentford back in 2018, 22 years old. In that time, he's scored 8 goals in 53 appearances.
Thanks, Becky.
Yes, definitely want to speak to Eriksen. We've got plenty of time as the evening goes on, but we're going to move from West London to East London now to West Ham, who've tried to sign a number of players, including Jesse Lingard, during this window. But with, an hour and 40 minutes to go, it is very quiet on the West Ham front. Jamie Weir can bring us up to date. I mean, Jamie, how frustrated do you think David Moyes will be by the apparent inability to get these deals done?
I'm sure he'll be very frustrated, Jules, because I've done a number of West Ham press conferences this month. He's said on every occasion there is the money there to spend, and I'm confident we'll sign 2 or 3 players. We know they wanted to sign a centre-back and a striker. They've done neither. There was that £45 million bid for Darwin Núñez from Benfica this morning that was rejected. Yes, there was talk of Jesse Lingard possibly getting him back after he had that incredibly successful second half of the season, this time last year at West Ham United. Manchester United perhaps unwilling to do business with what they see as a top 4 rival now, so that one was a non-starter. If Jesse Lingard was going to go anywhere, it looked like it would be Newcastle. As we now know, he's staying put at Old Trafford. Hugo Ekitike, I think I pronounced that correctly. I've tried about 5 times to get that name correctly, but that hasn't happened for them either. So I'm sure a lot of West Ham fans will be scratching their head. Yes, they're still in the race for the top 4. They've got the Europa League starting up again soon, and they're in the FA Cup. And yet they haven't strengthened their squad. It puts a hell of a lot of pressure on Mikel Antonio and Jared Bowen, who's having an incredible time at the moment, but it puts a lot of pressure on them to score the goals, having not brought in another striker. So, yeah, not just a frustrating day, Jules, but I think it's frustrating 31 days for West Ham and for David Moyes.
Jamie, thanks very much indeed for now. Just a reminder, you can keep across at the very latest transfer developments on our Sky Sports Transfer Centre. Quickest way to get to it is by scanning this QR code that's on your screen now. So just pick up your phone, open the camera, scan it, and that will take you straight to the Sky Sports Transfer Centre. And one of the big stories on there that has just emerged in the last few minutes regards this man, Aaron Ramsey, who says he had a number of offers on the table after Juventus made it clear that he didn't have a future there, but he has chosen Rangers and the Scottish Premiership. Here's a Rangers player on loan.
I'm in.
I'm in.
We're all in to kick it out.
Partnering to end racism in sport.
Welcome back. That clock is ticking down. 1 hour, 9 minutes, 17 odd seconds to go. Let's get the latest from a busy day in the EFL then. Mark McAdam has been across it all. So what can you tell us? We've got Bournemouth, the busiest so far, haven't they?
Incredible. I don't think a championship side has had a deadline day quite like Bournemouth. 4 players in at the moment and we're still waiting on a 5th. Sakiri Dembélé from Peterborough, Freddie Woodman, the goalkeeper from Newcastle, Nat Phillips, who's played in the Champions League this season from Liverpool, Kiefer Moore, the striker, for £3.5 million from Cardiff City. And there's a TBC, Todd Cantwell from Norwich. Bournemouth fans are getting a bit worried. Don't. We are waiting patiently for that one to be confirmed.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? What about other promotion-chasing sides then?
Nottingham Forest, they're in talks with Stoke over the striker Sam Surridge. That one is on the brink of happening. And Stoke and Reading, this is an interesting one as well. There's a swap deal between Tom Ince going from Stoke to Reading and Liam Moore, the captain of Reading, going to Stoke. OK, and just finally, any other bit of business from League 1 and 2 then? Yeah, a couple of little things to bring you. Stephen Sessegnon is close to joining Plymouth on loan from Fulham. Matt Smith has gone from Manchester City to MK Dons on loan. And Salford have signed winger Luke Bolton from Manchester City, which means Gary Neville and his team have been busy on deadline day.
Oh, it's good to hear. OK, thanks, Mark.
Right, let's head to Wolves, shall we now? We saw Adama Traore return to Barcelona from Wolves yesterday with the option for them to buy him. It's a loan initially, but what's happening elsewhere at the club? Dave Reed has been across Wolves' dealings today. Evening to you, Dave. What's happened? And with just over an hour to go, is there any chance of a late signing, maybe?
Well, I'd love to bring Wolves fans a little bit more exciting news, but spoiler alert, it's going to be pretty quiet. All their incoming business has been concluded for this January transfer window. Today has been more about outgoings. Ryan Giles is entering the final stages of his move. It's going to be a loan deal to Blackburn Rovers till the end of the season. He's highly rated at Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Bruno Lage will be hoping that Ryan Giles can come back in the summer and really make an impact in the first team next season. The other outgoing today, Bruno Jordao, has moved on loan to Grasshoppers. It's 3 incomings in this January transfer window for Wolves. 2 of those players are spending the latter half of this season at Grasshoppers. Chiquinho is going to be the one who they'll be hoping to make an impact on the first team. I must say the Wolves fans have been excellent today on social media, keeping themselves going, even though there's not been too much news going around. One Wolves fan, Manny, even offered to drive a truckload of samosas to Sky HQ free of charge for us. I'm holding him to that for the next transfer window. He's been raising money on Samosa Saturday for Wolves, for Dementia UK and the Wolves Foundation as well. The good news for Wolves is, though, they are closing in on a potential top 4 place this season. Still plenty to be positive about.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, I'll have one of those samosas if they come over. Thank you very much.
It's not the time for them now.
Sorry.
OK, look, Brighton have confirmed the signing of a young winger from Porto. Gail Davis can tell us more about that. Gail.
Yeah, confirmation came a few minutes ago. 18-year-old Porto winger Benicio Baker Boatti joins on loan until the end of the season. There is a view to a permanent move. He came through the ranks at West Ham. A lot of excitement about that, and that follows the earlier confirmation that Dennis Undov, a German striker playing in the Belgian league for Union Saint-Gilloise, will arrive in the summer from the club that the Brighton chairman Tony Bloom is the co-owner of. He's going to help them hopefully win the league. 9 points clear at the top. 18 goals in 25 games for them this season has helped lift the club to that point. And when you think about Brighton, the draw specialist, 12 so far this season in the Premier League, they'll look and have already added to their attacking options when he arrives in the summer and looking ahead to next season.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Gail. Oh, it's been a busy day, hasn't it, so far? You've only done an hour's work as well. Got more from you coming up. Got plenty more to come. We're still waiting on Dele Alli. We're still waiting on Aubameyang.
Cavalier, yeah.
We'll talk about Ramsey.
Well, all right. So
just for you, Chris. Just mention there's an Aura Club in Glasgow as well.
Look at that. There's a shot for your eyes, Chris Boyd. Aaron Ramsey's in a Rangers shirt. We'll have plenty more on that big story for you next. Stay with us. what a signing for the Scottish champions. Aaron Ramsey joins Rangers from Juventus until the end of the season. Less than 1 hour to go of that window in England. Plenty more deals still to be done.
Yeah, it's a midnight deadline in Scotland, of course, and here to follow it all with us are Chris Boyd, who's loving the Rangers story tonight. Shay Given, not so much, and Clinton Morrison as well. They are our guests for the final countdown, and of course we'll be live out and about where the ongoing stories are. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was in football limbo just a few hours ago, it seemed, but he's now undergoing his medical at Barcelona. He's leaving Arsenal to sign for Barca on a free transfer. Dele Alli's time at Tottenham is over. He's expected to sign for Everton before the deadline. They've got an hour left to get this over the line. We'll be live to the club's training ground. Plus, the latest on Fabio Carvalho as Liverpool close in on signing the midfielder from Fulham.
So, just like that, we're into the last hour. So let's get to that huge statement of intent from Rangers. Aaron Ramsey has arrived in Glasgow ahead of joining them from Juventus. And Mark Bensett is at Ibrox for us. So, Mark, just tell us, how are they financing this deal?
Good evening. I think that's the big question that was first on the lips of all supporters, all observers when this news broke this morning. Just simply, how could the numbers work out? Aaron Ramsey on a huge deal in Juventus, around £400,000 a week. Many people just thought there was no way that Rangers could make this work. But our understanding is that Juventus were willing to shoulder much of his wage demands to help facilitate a move. And it's interesting, in the quotes put out by Rangers when the news of this loan deal was confirmed just past 9:30 tonight, Sporting Director Ross Wilson says any agreement we reach has to be within our normal wage model, and Aaron's desire to play here has enabled us to achieve this with Juventus's cooperation. So I think that just underlines how much Juventus have done to help facilitate this move. And for Rangers, it is a fantastic deal, a player of real quality, real calibre they've been able to bring in now to help get them through the second half of this season. Yeah, you see, there you go, the excitement of supporters who've been gathering around here today at that news. Delighted to see Aaron Ramsey brought in here. Aaron Ramsey came in, got the deal done he arrived just before 9 o'clock, came out afterwards to greet some of the supporters, had the scarf, he had the shirt, and it's one that's gone down really well with the fans. Some quotes as well from Aaron Ramsey as well. He said, "I am really pleased to be joining a club like Rangers, where there is so much to look forward to between now and May. I had a number of offers on the table, but none matched the magnitude of this club with European football and a chance to play in front of 50,000 fans every other week. I've had some fantastic conversations with the manager and Ross Wilson, and I'm really looking forward to working with both of them and to meeting the supporters." And Giovanni van Bronckhorst has added to that as well. He says, "I'm absolutely delighted we've been able to add a player of Aaron's quality, experience and leadership to our squad. As soon as it was mooted as a possibility, I was really keen for us to try everything to get the deal done. And huge credit must go to Ross and to the board for the work they have put in on this. I look forward to welcoming Aaron to the training centre tomorrow." Yeah, it's an incredible deal they've managed to get over the line here. Aaron in now until the end of the season on loan. A real boost for the club in the final stages of this season, and a huge boost, of course, in what is a huge week in the season. It is Old Firm week. Celtic and Rangers go head-to-head on Wednesday night. What a real lift for everyone connected with this club to have Aaron through the door. I can't see Chris Boyd's face just now, but I can almost feel his beaming smile all the way from London.
Yes, you're spot on there, Mark. Just apologies if anyone heard any bad language there as well, but you are smiling, aren't you?
It wasn't Chris, by the way.
No, it wasn't.
But I changed.
Very well behaved.
But a change. Good stuff. Right, we'll have more on that huge story. We're keeping Chris quiet for now. He's had enough of his say in the last hour on Aaron Ramsey, but I'm sure we'll come back to it before the end of the night. But there's another big story we've got to get to now, and I suppose it's the saga of deadline day, really, which involves Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 4 years to the day that he signed for Arsenal, the striker has now agreed a deal to join Barcelona on a free, although on more than one occasion the deal looked doomed today. Aubameyang flew to Barcelona earlier. We were told there was an element of surprise that the striker arrived in Barcelona before a deal had been agreed. But then, hours later, this from the Barca president, Joan Laporta.
It is very complicated, but we will work until the end. Both the Dembélé and Aubameyang situations are complicated because In the Aubameyang case, the player has to arrange an agreement with Arsenal. We are working to find the best solution for Barcelona and the player in the Dembélé case.
This is one of the many deals that Dharmesh Sheth has been across over the last month. You're ready for a big lie-down, aren't you, Dharmesh, I think?
Yeah.
Now, you do like a saga, and this is a saga, my friend. Take us through what's happened today.
This was on, this was off, and it was back on again. Look, earlier we knew Barcelona and Arsenal were in advanced negotiations over a loan deal for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We heard that he was willing to take a pay cut to make sure that this deal went through. The talks were all about the percentage of the wages that Barcelona would pay Arsenal. We know Aubameyang's wages, close to £350,000 a week. Then came the twist. Aubameyang arrives in Barcelona with no deal done. Raised eyebrows everywhere, and some people on social media were starting to compare it to something that had happened 9 years ago to the day when Peter Odemwingie drove from West Bromwich Albion to QPR, came outside Loftus Road when there was no deal done at all. Then it looked like the deal was off. It looked like talks had broken down, even though Aubameyang had taken that pay cut. It wasn't enough to bridge the gap between what Arsenal wanted paying and what Barcelona were prepared to pay. Then, Joan Laporta, you just heard from him there. After that little bit of that interview, he did carry on to say, we're still hopeful. And then he went on to say, we think we can do it. And then before we know it, the deal is done. And it's a permanent deal. It's not a loan deal. It's a permanent deal. It's a free transfer, so there's no fee involved. But everyone is happy. You may ask, how can Arsenal be happy if it's a free transfer? Well, 18 months left on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's contract, £350,000 a week. They don't have to worry about that anymore. That's a saving of £25 million. So it looks like Arsenal's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has ended his career at the Emirates and is about to start his new one at the new camp.
I mean, if this had fallen through, you just can't imagine where it would have left Aubameyang, really, can you? Because, I mean, it is an end to what has been a really challenging time for him, I guess.
Challenging. It's been a dismal few weeks, hasn't it? I mean, he lost the captaincy, number one, at Arsenal when Mikel Arteta stripped him of that captaincy. He then didn't make the last 10 squads at Arsenal. They went on a warm weather training trip to Dubai. He was left out of that squad. And remember, his AFCON Nations Cup campaign was cut short with Gabon because of the suspected heart lesions that they found in his medical. So he had come back to London for that. But now it looks like it's got a positive ending because it looks like he does have his move. He always wanted to return to a top European club, and it's Barcelona. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, soon to be a Barcelona player.
Dharmesh, thank you very much. It's been a turbulent time, but it looks like he's got his new home.
OK, we're into the last 50 minutes of this window, and Crystal Palace have made the Jean-Philippe Mateta deal permanent. Michael Bridge has the details on this one. Michael.
Yes, Vicky, we said in the last hour that we expected Jean-Philippe Mateta's loan spell at Crystal Palace to be made permanent. We first reported this on Friday, and we can confirm, and Palace have confirmed, that deal is now done. He has signed on a permanent deal. Now, I'm told it's for £9 million. This is some turnaround for Jean-Philippe Mateta, because there was talk that Palace were going to cut his loan deal short. Saint Etienne wanted him, but Patrick Vieira has been very, very impressed with his form over the last 5 to 6 weeks, particularly that performance in the FA Cup third round at Millwall, and he's kept his place in the side. So Palace fans very happy. Look, they've done some fantastic business in the summer. They didn't have to do much this January. They liked Donny van der Beek. They understand with Donny van der Beek having a young family that he wanted to stay in the north. But Patrick Vieira is doing a fantastic job at Selhurst Park. He wanted to keep Mateta, and he's going to.
Thank you, Michael.
50 minutes to go till the deadline. Is your club going to do business before the window closes? What about Liverpool? They are edging closer to signing Fabio Carvalho from Fulham. We can go to Craig Slater, who's live at the Liverpool training ground for us this evening. Craig, they're running out of time for this one. What's the latest?
Well, the latest is Liverpool have made a significant breakthrough in their attempts to bring Fabio Carvalho from Fulham to Anfield. The two clubs in the last few minutes have agreed a fee for Carvalho's transfer. Remember, Liverpool had offered somewhere in the region of £5 million. Fulham wanted more. Negotiations, we were told, were tough but respectful and fair, but a fee has now been agreed. it remains for the two parties to sort out personal terms and the medical, of course. I understand the medical for Carvalho will take place in London, so that is quite achievable within the time frame. Personal terms shouldn't be a significant stumbling block either. So it looks as though he will be making his way to Liverpool for the new season. Remember, Liverpool plan to loan him back to Fulham for the remainder of their promotion-chasing championship campaign, and he has been a key figure in that, scoring 8 goals in 17 appearances. The jeopardy for Fulham was, had they waited till the season's end, Carvalho would have been out of contract and could have gone to a European club without a fee. Had he gone to an English club, that would have entailed a tribunal, and Liverpool might have ended up paying more for him than they will be. We'll yet to find out exactly what the fee is, or a rough ballpark figure for it. And as I say, personal terms and length of contract have yet to be established. But it looks as now there is every probability that Fabio Carvalho will be a Liverpool player, albeit loaned back to Fulham for the remainder of this campaign.
Craig, thank you.
OK, let's switch across Merseyside then, because Everton are expected to complete a deal that could be worth as much as £40 million for Dele Alli. So, Vinny O'Connor, with around 48 minutes left of this window, are they confident they're going to get this one over the line?
They're confident they're going to get it over the line. It's going to be, I think, a case of getting the deal sheet in just to make sure that they can complete this deal for Dele Alli. But they've been confident all the way through. There were rumours earlier on, of course, that maybe Newcastle's interest that had been shown in Dele Alli could potentially hijack that. There was no worries from the Everton point of view ever since Bill Kenwright had thrashed out that deal with Daniel Levy this afternoon. And we knew that Dele Alli wanted to come here as well once that deal had been agreed between the two clubs, because obviously the attraction of Frank Lampard in his first day in charge. What a deadline day it's proving to be for Everton, and I suppose some of the frustrations of the Everton fans that we've seen of late being eased somewhat with the business that they've been doing today. So Dele Alli we expect to get done. He's been having that medical down in London. The other signing, of course, to arrive was Donny van de Beek on loan until the end of the season from Manchester United. No option with that. Everton will pick up his wages in full, but again, another big attraction for Donny van de Beek was Frank Lampard here as manager, and this is what Donny van de Beek had to say a little earlier on.
On that decision, of course, it was important for me. We had a good meeting, a long one, and I think we have the same ideas about football, and I think I can help the team, and we have great players. I want to help them.
What did Frank tell you about his plans for you and how he sees you fitting into his team?
I play in the past a few games against him. When I play in Ajax, he was in Chelsea at that time, and we play against each other, so he know me also as a player. And he think that I have some qualities who can help the team, and I think the same. So let's see. I have to work hard.
Not only Frank Lampard's first day, of course, but his backroom staff in place. And that backroom staff includes, of course, Alan Kelly, the goalkeeper coach, staying in his position, and Duncan Ferguson, who will make up part of that coaching team as well. So Donny van de Beek, we know, confirmed, and we're expecting Dele Alli to be confirmed, but it'll probably go past 11 o'clock this evening.
Thank you, Vinny. I'm going to start with you. Great signings with Donny and potentially Dele. Donny.
Yeah, 100%. I think both of them need to get their career back on track. There's no doubt about it. I think for Everton, they're probably looking for that little spark as well. I mean, we've obviously covered them a few times, Clinton. And they are, there's games where they have been in it, but they're just looking for that little bit of quality, from midfield to the forward areas. And that's what, if both players are playing at the top of their ability, they definitely bring that. I think the interesting one for me is Dele Alli. He's been below par for a number of years now, and everybody, it can't always be the manager's fault. Probably he's going to have to take a long, hard look at himself and say, this is an opportunity. I've moved now. If it goes through, I'm going to get an opportunity at a club under Frank Lampard to go and, as I said, kick-start his career, because it's not really happened for him recently.
And the fact it's Lampard who apparently has been a big part in why he's decided to go to Everton, Shay, is he almost the perfect coach because of where he played on the pitch?
Yeah, well, both midfielders obviously play in a similar position to Frank had played, so they can't really learn from a better sort of manager, / ex-player. So, it's a funny one. The figure you mentioned, 40 million, is a massive fee. He's struggled at Tottenham for the last couple of years, and as Boydie said, like, it's not just one manager he's fallen out of favour, he's fallen out with a few managers.
That is structured. It's structured, isn't it? It's important to point out. It's not
sounds like he has to win the Ballon d'Or to get 40 million for it. I mean, maybe that's the case. There must be lots of clauses in there. But himself, you feel for the player, he needs to get regular game time now and show to everyone how good a player is, because a few years ago he was a brilliant player.
This is a club that, you know, just a few moments ago we've been seeing banners, you know, about the board. Do you think this is going to appease the fans this time around, this window?
It should do. It should most definitely. Donny van der Beek's the one for me. I think he's a brilliant signing. And Man United are signing. He never got an opportunity at Man United. You can always tell a manager didn't fancy him. Bringing him on for 20 minutes here, half an hour here. You need a run of games. Everyone will tell you need at least 5, 6, 7, 8 games to get up to speed. He was never given that. And the Holland, obviously, the Netherlands, they're going to the World Cup. He needs to play football, so I think this move had to happen. He was going to go to Crystal Palace. In the end, he decided to go to Everton, and I think it's a great move for him, and I know he'll go there and do the business. The other one, Dele Alli, you do not lose your talent you've got. But the lads were talking about it. It can't be all the managers that get it wrong. Dele Alli has to look at himself and say, this is my last chance, my last opportunity. I have to go there and take this opportunity.
What do you think's been the problem with him, Clinton?
I don't know what the problem is, because he's got unbelievable ability. I think sometimes you need a change. As a player, you stay at a club maybe too long. I think he stayed at Tottenham too long. I think this change at Everton, you'll see the best out of him. And I think he's got the perfect man in Frank Lampard that will help him. He can drive forward. He can get them goals that they need. And they missed that creative spark, I think, Everton. They've got the Corey who's out. Obviously, he's out for a bit. He's an important midfielder. So the signing of Van der Beek and Dele Alli is really positive for Everton fans.
A couple of seasons ago, Everton were overstocked with number 10s. Do you think these two can play in the same team?
Well, I think if you're going to bring the two of them in, you're going to have to find a way. You know, we've spoken about it there. They need to find a way to start winning games of football. Everton, they're in a difficult position. Hence the reason why the manager's been sacked. It was never really going to work anyway for me. The Rafa Benitez one, the start that Everton got probably covered up or papered over the cracks at right at the beginning. But for the last few months, it's not been good enough. And if you're bringing in players, I think if you're bringing in players that, as I said, need to kick-start their career, it can give other players around them a lift as well. And by the way, the manager the same.
Yeah, you're right.
Frank Lampard's, he's been given an opportunity at a massive football club to go and kick on with his managerial.
And Van der Beek can play in number 8. He did that many a times for Ajax, so he can play as one of the two with Dele just behind. If you're going to play one up front, Calvert-Lewin, it can work. And you just need to get the best out of both players. And I think both have a point to prove, so they'll go there, hit the ground running. I think it's two brilliant signings for Everton, and I know you're a happy man, Jules.
No comment.
No Just a reminder, you can keep across all the latest transfer developments on our Sky Sports Transfer Centre by scanning the QR code on screen now. Jules has been smiling quite a lot today.
Internally.
Yes. All right. Well, look, stay with us. 41 minutes left of this window. We'll keep you across it all. It's all bubbling under at Newcastle, and that is where we're headed next.
just taking a bit of time to get finalised that announcement. But everything is on schedule. Dele Alli will be an Everton player tonight. They've also lost Tanguy and Ndombele, their record signing, Giovanni Lo Celso as well, and Brian Hill has got out on loan, as well as bringing in those two players. So yeah, outgoings, preparing the squad for an assault on the summer window, and of course there will be even more of this revamp continuing.
Yeah, there will be. So look, let's just tell us about the two that did arrive today then, Paul.
Yeah, that was, of course, Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur, both from Juventus, and both players Antonio Conte really keen on. And it's, again, another sign. I mean, it's not a perfect window for Tottenham in terms of they want to completely overhaul this squad. Of course, they know there's work to be done, but they have taken some small steps in terms of getting people out, all endorsed by Antonio Conte, but the two players in particular will, Antonio Conte believes, strengthen and again just help them towards the summer when they can add further.
OK, thank you very much, Paul. OK, what about Newcastle then? Of course, the fans really wanted them to do plenty of business. Did they do that? Well, potentially they did. Keith Downey, what have you got for us? Tell us about the deals they did do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a very busy window for Newcastle throughout. When you think back away to the start, when you think of Kieran Trippier and Chris Wood arriving, and then, Vicky, a huge one over the weekend in the shape of Bruno Guimaraes, the midfielder from Lyon, who arrived here in a deal that will total £40 million. Then, this morning, the Newcastle United supporters awoke to the news that they'd struck a deal with Stade Rennes for Hugo Ekitike, the striker, only for the forward to decide that he didn't actually want to come here. They then turned their attentions, of course, to Jesse Lingard, but Manchester United dug in and said that he was staying. So I think a little bit of a disappointing transfer deadline day for Newcastle fans after what I think they would say has been a successful month with the other arrivals. But there's also a player who is currently in with the club just now, finalising his transfer, and we're still awaiting on announcement of that. It's Dan Burn, the defender from Brighton, that we expect that one to be announced before the 11 o'clock deadline. They have also brought in Matt Targett today on loan from Aston Villa until the end of the season. So yeah, they've been busy throughout the market. I think Eddie Howe will be happy with the players that he's brought in. Maybe just slightly disappointed that he didn't get that striker over the line, but they certainly tried. They tried very hard with Ekitike today and with Jesse Lingard, but for them it just wasn't meant to be, and he'll have to do with the squad that he's got. So we're just waiting on Dan Burn being confirmed by the club, but Matt Targett so far just the only arrival on transfer deadline day.
OK, thank you very much, Keith.
Let's have a chat in the studio about Newcastle. Shay, I'll come to you. I mean, there was so much expectation when the Saudi owners came in with all the money in the world to spend effectively. Deadline day maybe hasn't materialised as some of the fans might have liked, but overall, this first window under the new owners, how would you sum it up?
Yeah, it's been good, but we've not been blown away. I mean, some of the signings is Premier League, I'm not saying standard players, but good Premier League players. So that's maybe getting up the ladder to compete at the top again. But they have to be safe first, Jules. That's the thing. They have to get the club safe, and then in the summertime they can build again. I joined Man City all them years ago when the previous one they signed Robinho sort of as a player that everyone was like, oh my God, Man City have signed Robinho. They haven't made that massive signing for everyone to go, wow, that's some signing to make. But the problem with Man City, or not the problem, the good thing of Man City, they were mid-table at the time when I signed. Whereas Newcastle are in the bottom three for a reason. They've been struggling all season. So Eddie Howe's obviously looked at it and we said, we need players who know the league. Albeit Bruno's not played in the league, but the rest of them know the league well. And he thinks they'll give him a best chance of staying up. But time will tell.
So obviously from your time at Manchester City, you know how it feels, what the current Newcastle players are going through when they see X, Y and Z and everyone being linked with the club. What's it like as the club starts to grow and the finances suddenly come in like that?
I think it's exciting. It's an exciting time for the players that's there. Before they think, well, I want to be part of this journey. I look back at maybe Vincent Kompany and the players they got. They've been on the journey. They went on the roller coaster, or call it what you want. We're there for a long time. David Silva and players they got. And the players was there before wanted to be on that journey. I think Newcastle players should be the same. You know, they've got owners now who've got huge wealth behind them, and it's an opportunity for them to maybe go in their careers and win some trophies.
Sorry, I was just going to say, how interesting is it, though, if you're a Burnley, a Watford, a Norwich fan, you might be feeling a little bit aggrieved that this sort of money can come in midway through a season. I mean, we love the January transfer window, but is it fair in terms of what's happened, do you think?
Yeah, that happens. Newcastle is a huge football club, so the owners want to go into Newcastle. The city is ready to take off. Those fans are there. Shay will tell you, it's fantastic, even as a away player going to play at St James's Park. So they want to invest in the club. I'm in agreement with Shay. I think they could have done probably better business, and I think the Newcastle fans would have wanted better business in this window. But they've signed players that know the league in Kieran Trippier and Matt Targett, so experience. And if they can get Dan Burn over the line, I still think they needed that attacking midfielder. Gamirish, the midfielder, he's more of a holding midfielder. I just feel they need a creative midfielder that can get them goals. But they need Callum Wilson to get fit. So they got St Maximin. I think that those signings, you will see if they prove a hit come the end of the season. But for me, I think Newcastle will be good enough to stay up. But they could have just gone out and brought 2 marquee big signings, and I think the fans would have been happy. That's what I asked the question, why didn't they? But they didn't. But they're being a bit smart because I feel they've got loads of money. They don't want to.
I think you would say it's difficult to attract players when you're in the bottom of the league. So players would like to join Newcastle maybe in a year's time when they're maybe back up challenging for European places or whatever.
It was a risk for players.
Because it's a risk if they go there now and they get relegated, because next season in the Championship and the top players obviously don't want to play in the Championship, they want to play in the Premier League. So that's probably the biggest problem they had this window.
Final very quick question, Shay. You're in the Newcastle goal now, a defence that's conceded 43 goals this season, and you're now in that goal looking at your back four, which has Matt Targett in it, Dan Burn probably, and right back Kieran Trippier. How much happier are you now as a goalkeeper?
Yeah, you're happier, of course you are. I mean, as you say, they've been leaking too many goals. And, I mean, they changed the keeper as well. Darlow started the season, now Dubravka's playing. There was talk about Henderson maybe joining today as well. So they have to tighten up. And now be that the sort of midfield in front of that, sort of helping to defend a bit better. And of course, the guys at the front as well. But if you can see that many goals, you're never going to outscore teams, especially when you're at the bottom of the league. So they have to tighten it up, have to really consolidate as a team and tighten things up. And if they do that, they've got a chance. I mean, the next game's massive. We've got Everton at home next Tuesday night. It's an absolute humongous game for both clubs.
Yes, huge. OK, stay with us. As you can see, 30 minutes left on that clock. Time is fast running out. But are Chelsea about to make, as Shay was saying just a few moments ago, a marquee signing? Find out with us next. of this window. So is something exciting about to happen at Chelsea? Well, let's find out with Gary Cottrell. So what's happening there, Gary? Ousmane Dembélé coming, going, staying? What's he doing?
No, I think not, Chelsea fans. I don't think that deal is going to happen this deadline day. There was a real flurry of expectation a few hours back, late afternoon, early evening. Chelsea were told that he could be available for them this window. They put in an official inquiry after the deal for him to go to PSG collapsed for financial reasons, but it was always going to have to be a really, really precise and accurate inquiry in terms of what was on offer and what they could afford and how easily it could be done and his wages and the time frame. And it never really, after a brief interlude, looked like happening. It's been a few hours now where we think that it's going to happen in the summer, if it happens at all, rather than in January. It'll be much easier then because obviously he'll be a free agent. Thomas Tuchel wants the player. The player would like to come and be reunited with Thomas Tuchel. They had a good time together, didn't they, in Germany before he went to Barcelona, those Borussia Dortmund years. So, yeah, he's staying at Barcelona almost certainly now until the summer, and perhaps next season he'll be lighting up the stadium in front of the Shed End.
Yeah, you never know. Thank you, Gary.
So that's one forward who might not be coming to the Premier League. Let's find out about a striker who will be coming to the Premier League, but not quite yet. Manchester City we're talking about. Julian Alvarez has signed from River Plate for a fee in the region of £17 million. But as Anton Louis can tell us more, City fans might have to wait a little bit to see him in the blue shirt, Anton.
Yeah, I'm afraid so, but he comes with a very, very impressive CV, Julian Alvarez. He is the South American Player of the Year. He won Copa America in the summer. He won Copa Libertadores earlier in his career as well. And he's been averaging a goal every 90 minutes in Argentinian football in 2021. High pedigree, but like I said, he'd be spending the next half of the season at River Plate. He will come here in July, maybe even later on in the year. River Plate would love to keep him for another calendar year, so you may well have to wait until Julian Alvarez comes in. He also signed for Manchester City today on his birthday, so there you go. What a fantastic feeling for him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anton.
Oh, talking of birthdays, let's join the birthday boy. It's Jamie Weir, isn't it? Who's 39 years young today, apparently, but I demand a recount. But anyway, what have you got in terms of West Ham?
Yeah, a bit of an age gap between me and that lad at Manchester City, yes. Well, West Ham, look, I think West Ham fans and David Moyes will be a little bit frustrated, not just with today, but to be honest, with the whole month. I've done a number of David Moyes press conferences this month, and he said on every occasion, there is money there to spend. We are confident we'll bring in 2 or 3 players. We know they wanted a striker and a centre-back. Well, they've failed to bring in either. And the news this morning was that Darwin Núñez from Benfica was a man they had their eye on. They made a €45 million bid. That was rejected. There was talk in the middle of the day about Jesse Lingard potentially coming back to the club where he'd had such a successful second half of last season, and then that very quickly went away as well, that Manchester United wanted to keep hold of him. So I think it'll be a frustrating day for West Ham. They've got the Europa League starting up again soon. They're still in the FA Cup and they're very much in the hunt for the top 4. So you'd think they would need to bolster that squad. That puts an awful lot of pressure on the likes of Mikel Antonio and Jared Bowen, who has been in sensational form, to keep scoring the goals that they are scoring, having failed to bring in a striker. So I think a lot of West Ham fans tonight will be scratching their head.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Happy birthday again. I didn't mean it, honestly.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Look, I just want to talk West Ham because it has, Chris, been an amazing season. They've got to be very delighted so far, but obviously West Ham fans are really believing now. Do you think they should have done business this window? They were in for so many names, weren't they?
I mean, I think Núñez from Benfica was one of the ones that was mentioned.
Yeah.
And as I said, when you're looking for... there's no doubt that Mikel Antonio does need help. We've spoken about it loads of times, that, you would maybe look for that competition for places up front. But, listen, I think... if there's one team that probably gets away with a small squad, David Moyes seems to get the best out of them as well. So, you wouldn't bet against West Ham staying where they are and continue to prove the doubters wrong. Yes, I'm sure, as every manager will tell you, they would want players in, but David Moyes will be happy with what he's got there as well. He'll know if he didn't get anybody in, he's still got full trust in that group of players.
Yeah, but don't you think, Buddy, when it gets to this is the best opportunity I think West Ham have got to get into that top 4. I think it's open, and you're thinking just give him a bit of help, because as you just said there, alluded to, if Mikel Antonio gets injured,
you've got it's been a difficult period for everybody.
No, it has, but they've got owners there, because I know the owners and I've worked under them at Birmingham.
Well, phone them and ask them why they're not spending any money.
As soon as I know them, but as soon as they gave me my contract, they didn't want to know me anymore. They said they were paying me.
So you don't know them?
I do know them, and they're good owners, and usually they have backed him before, but you want them to back. I think West Ham are so close, and they've got a great opportunity, so you're just a bit disappointed that they haven't done any business. Listen, the squad is good. David Moyes has done a terrific job, outstanding job, but I think this season they've got a great opportunity and maybe cracking into that top 4, so I'm a bit disappointed that they haven't done any business now, but you know what? It's never too late. How long we got? 21 minutes.
It's too late, Clinton.
It's too late.
Is there anyone in football you don't know, Clinton, just out of interest?
No. Everyone wants to know Clinton. That's the good thing about it. Everyone wants to go.
Let's move on.
I teed him up.
I've heard it all now. I've heard it all.
Great teammate, weren't I, mate? Be honest.
Right, let's move on swiftly. We've talked about West Ham having a really good season, another team having a good campaign at Brighton. Let's hear about a young winger from Porto that they've signed today. Gail Davis can tell us more. Hi, Gail.
Yeah, hi Jules. 2 signings on deadline day for Brighton. One arrives now, one arrives in the summer, and you mentioned 18-year-old Benicio Baker-Boati. He arrives from Porto on a season-long loan with a view to a permanent move. Very excited about him. Came through the ranks at West Ham, and that follows the announcement that Dennis Undav will arrive in the summer. He's a German striker playing for the Belgium club Union Saint-Gilloise. It's a club that's co-owned by Tony Bloom, who's the chairman of Brighton. They're top of the league, having just been promoted in Belgium. So he's hoping to guide them to a famous league win. 18 goals for him in 25 appearances this season. When you think about Brighton's season, it has been great, hasn't it? But they are the draw specialists, 12 in the Premier League, and it looks like they've bolstered their attacking options for the end of this season and the beginning of next.
Gail, thanks very much indeed. So, less than 20 minutes to go now till the transfer window closes. Waiting for confirmation of Aubameyang to Barcelona. Waiting for confirmation of Carvalho to Liverpool and back on loan to Fulham. Complicated deal that. Is there time to do it? Waiting for confirmation of Dele Alli to Everton as well. And it's deadline day. And you know there's often a twist as the clock ticks down. Will we get one tonight? Stay with us to find out.
We're recording. move from Fulham to Liverpool. We're still waiting on Dele Alli. Could he move from Spurs to Everton? But one deal that did go through was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, he's agreed a deal to join Barcelona, but it didn't look that way earlier on today. And Geraint Hughes described it as odd and strange. So, Geraint, why was it odd and why was it so strange?
Yeah, weird, wonderful, all the other words you could put in there as well. It's one of those sort of deals that's been agreed. We're still waiting sort of official confirmation from both Arsenal and Barcelona, but we agree a permanent deal has been struck that will see the end of Aubameyang's career here at Arsenal. It's a free transfer effectively. But the reason why it's been weird is because, you know, first of all, you then hear that Aubameyang has flown to Barcelona. Then you hear that both clubs are kind of, well, all parties involved are a bit surprised by it. Then you find out that Aubameyang is actually visiting family just outside Barcelona and that he hasn't had a meeting with Barcelona yet. Now it's transpired that financial difficulties with the deal, that could scupper it. And then you hear the president of Barcelona, Juan Laporta, saying, we have hope. And when you hear those words, we have hope, in the final hours of any deadline day, well, he either knows something that we don't, or he's a very, very hopeful man. On this occasion, it looks like he's got his way, and he's got Aubameyang, his man, there. But it really was one of those transfers that has gone the twists and turns throughout the day. Strange, weird, wonderful setting behind it as well. But in terms of Arsenal, I think, and Barcelona, both parties looking to be very, very happy with this deal. Obviously, Aubameyang hasn't featured for Arsenal since the beginning of December. Well publicised sort of falling out with the manager Mikel Arteta. Fresh beginnings now for him at Barcelona as well, and for Arsenal as well. He was a big earner here. That is now off their books, or the majority of it is off their books now. As I say, it's a permanent deal, but with a free transfer for Aubameyang. Just waiting now, those I's to be dotted, those T's to be crossed, and official confirmation from both clubs.
Thanks, Geraint. So look, Clinton, they're 2 points shy of the top four, Arsenal, at the moment. Could this potentially be a bit of bad business for Arsenal if they don't make top four? Could they live to regret getting rid of Aubameyang?
They could do, but at the end of the day, Mikel Arteta had to stay strong. I think he's made that call. He didn't want Aubameyang there. If he goes and says all of a sudden, he has to bring him back into the fold. I think where they've not signed anyone, I think if he had stayed there, I think maybe he might have had to call him back into the side, because he was paying him reportedly 350 grand a week. That's big money. You don't want a player sitting on the sidelines if he's not playing. And if Arsenal want to challenge and try and get into that top four, they needed to bring in a striker. Obviously, they're not going to bring in a striker, but I think Aubameyang, the relationship with him and Arteta, once it broke, Arteta had to stay strong and he had to get rid of Aubameyang. And I think it's a good move for Aubameyang to go to Barcelona, and I think he will score goals in Barcelona.
Shay, I just want to ask you about discipline problems, because have you ever come across this before when a player... I know
What's she trying to say to you?
Ireland as well, so I just didn't know whether you wanted to go down Clinton's.
I was good.
Yeah.
But, when you've got a player like that in the ranks, what's it like?
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I think the top managers get paid to manage, and get the best of the people. So some people would say it's strong management, and Arteta had his stand his ground, but other people would have maybe looked at, I remember Bobby Robson, for example, at Newcastle. He would have stuck his arm around the player and goes, you've messed up there. Just say sorry for the lads, and we move on, and you get the best out of the player, because... Well,
a bit like Tuchel's done with Lukaku, really. I mean,
yeah, possibly. We talked about the fee. We said £56 million they paid for Aubameyang, and he let him go on a free. It's in any other business, in any other world, it's madness. Yeah. So I don't know if Arteta could have maybe just put his arm around him and said, all is forgiven, because he's not replaced him, and there's no striker unless they come in the next whatever minutes you got, 10 minutes or whatever. They haven't replaced him, so surely they could have got him back in the fold.
You make a good point, Shay.
A deal that we've been waiting all day for. You'll spot at the bottom of your screen has been confirmed. Brighton have actually just confirmed that Dan Burn has left. He's gone to Newcastle. It's done now. Newcastle fans might have been starting to worry, I think, because it's been all day long we've been waiting. It's an undisclosed fee. He was a season ticket holder as a boy at Newcastle. He's at his hometown club. That is now a done deal. That's over the line. What about Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool to Fulham and then back on loan again? That might be the complication here that is holding up this move. Craig Slater is the man who can tell us more. He is live at Liverpool's training ground. Craig, we are 11 minutes away from the deadline. What are you thinking?
Well, we said there'd been a breakthrough, that the two clubs had agreed a fee. That was the case. We said it would probably happen, but this is not definitely going to happen, this move, and it is partly, as you've intimated there, the complexity of getting the transfer done. Liverpool are buying the player from Fulham for an agreed fee, but the loan back has also to be agreed and completed if this transaction is to happen at all. So it's the added complexity of the contractual arrangements of all of this and getting it done within this very narrow time frame, which could hold everything up. And factor in this as well, that Liverpool's attitude to buying Carvalho was perhaps now or never. They did not want to go through a transfer tribunal to pay for the player in the summer, which is effectively what they would have to do because he's out of contract then. He would not be moving to an English club on a free transfer, but could move to a European club for a free transfer. So as things stand, the player is in London, he's having his medical there, and they are trying to sort out the contractual terms, personal terms, and the detail of both the transfer and the loan agreement, and all of that has to happen if this is to go through.
Craig, thank you very much indeed. I think I said Liverpool to Fulham, but it was the right words, just in the wrong order, wasn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah.
Do you remember that, man? OK, look, this one has been rumbling on since this morning, and we now have some news on Todd Cantwell's move from Norwich to Bournemouth. Emma Payton, what can you tell us?
Yeah, you say rumbling on since this morning, Vicky. It feels like a hell of a long time ago now, doesn't it? But I can tell you that Todd Cantwell, it has been confirmed, it is official. He has joined Bournemouth on loan for the rest of the season. Bournemouth with an option to buy at the end of that loan as well. So Bournemouth fans, you can go to sleep. And Norwich fans, you can certainly go to sleep, that is for sure, because Todd Cantwell will be playing his football on the South Coast for the rest of the season. Now, this is a player who's had a number of clubs interested in him throughout the season. Newcastle interested in signing him a few weeks ago, then clubs from outside the Premier League, outside the UK, in Olympiacos and Granada as well. We understand that Norwich, they didn't want to let him go on loan or permanently to a Premier League rival, and the player wasn't keen on a move abroad either. So Bournemouth, in the end, looked like the perfect option, really, third in the Championship at the moment, and fighting for promotion back to the Premier League after a couple of seasons away. Todd Cantwell, 23 now. He's been at Norwich since he was 11 years old and was a real crucial part of the side, the Norwich side that was in the Premier League a couple of seasons ago. And certainly part of that Norwich City side in the Championship last season that got promoted back to the Premier League at the first time of asking. Not really worked out this season, kind of fell out of favour under Daniel Farke before he left in mid-November. 8 Premier League appearances this season, just 3 Premier League appearances under Dean Smith as well since he's come in. It has amounted to a massive total of 440 Premier League minutes played this season. But for the rest of the season, he will be playing his minutes in the Championship.
Brilliant stuff, Emma. No wonder she said it seems like a long time. I think she's been working since about 7 o'clock this morning. Yeah. Well done. Good shift.
A quick word on Cantwell. Clinton, I'll bring you in. I mean, you watch a lot of them, as all of you do. But, you know, a player linked with the Premier League teams. Are you surprised? Bournemouth mean business, we know. But are you surprised he's had to drop out of the Premier League?
Well, I'm not surprised. I think Emma just said there Norwich didn't want him to go to another Premier League, but he's a top talent. I don't understand why they're letting him go, and for whatever reason, Emma alluded to it there, he weren't playing under Daniel Farke, and he hasn't been playing under Dean Smith. He's a top talent.
If he stayed in the Premier League, he could have been taking points off sides who are down there with Norwich.
Yeah, of course he could have, but I don't think Norwich wanted to do that. I think that going to Bournemouth, it's a brilliant signing. Scott Parker's brought him in. He'll do ever so well in the Championship, and he's probably thinking long-term. Bournemouth get promoted, and they go back up to the Premier League, and he'll be playing, and they need that creative player, Bournemouth. I think he'd be a good signing. I like Campbell, and he gets goals from midfield.
OK, 7 minutes left. Just before that deadline, Newcastle confirmed, as you saw, that they have brought in that defender, Dan Burn. So, Keith Downey, what can you tell us?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Alan Shearer tweeting there, Vicky, saying, "Welcome home, Dan," and that is because Dan Burn is a local lad from Newcastle, from the city. He had to move away, really, to begin his career, and he's found his way back at Newcastle at the age of 29, having signed that 2.5-year contract. It's been a marathon day for Dan Burn, having left Brighton this morning, travelling up here. Didn't begin his medical until 4 o'clock, and there we are. It's finally being completed with 15 minutes of the transfer window to go. A dream move for Dan Burn, getting the chance to play for his boyhood club, and he becomes the second signing of transfer deadline day for Newcastle United, following in the footsteps of Matt Targett, who arrived on loan from Aston Villa until the end of the season. So that's 5 signings for Newcastle this transfer window for a combined fee of around £90 million. So the new owners have definitely thrown some money at it this window. As I alluded to a bit earlier, they've left it a little bit short up front without adding in either Hugo Ekitike or Jesse Lingard today. They will be a bit disappointed with that, but I think in all they've done well to attract the 5 players that they have, given their predicament at the foot of the table. And Eddie Howe must go on with the squad he's got now for the remainder of the season. But the Newcastle United supporters will be disappointed they didn't get a striker in, but they're happy now tonight that they've landed Dan Burn, and it's a happy Burns night for them.
Oh, I see what
Very
you did there.
good.
Well done, Keith.
Very good.
5 minutes to go.
5 minutes, 20 seconds. Whenever a done deal comes into us, our emails, we refresh them and they ping in here, don't they? I'm refreshing it and refreshing it and refreshing it to see if there's any news on Dele Alli to Everton. But with 5 minutes and 10 seconds to go, Vinny O'Connor, who's covering this for us, there is no news this end from Dele Alli. What can you tell us?
I'm told, Jules, not to worry. Everton are still expecting this one to get done. There's a few little niggly things to be sorted out, but basically the deal was sorted when Bill Kenwright discussed it with Daniel Levy as well. And since then, of course, Dele Alli has undergone a medical. He's effectively agreed to a 2.5-year contract, as we understand it, and the fee will be based on performance-related add-ons and could rise up to £40 million. As I say, Everton expect this deal to get done and Dele Alli to become the second signing on deadline day, joining Donny van der Beek, who signed on loan until the end of the season from Manchester United. It's been an impressive day's work, isn't it? First day in charge for Frank Lampard, and 2 signings it looks to have in the bag, although we await confirmation that Everton have signed Dele Alli.
Thanks, Vinny.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the table, Chris, 16th place. If we fast forward, say, 5 months to the end of the season and they bump up the table, this could be the signing of the window, couldn't it, Dele Alli, if he gets them back on track, if he gets there?
Well, I think it's more important for him as well. I mean, yes, it's a team game, but, we've spoken about it there. Dele Alli's been struggling for, form himself for a number of years now. And everybody was speaking about him, being this world-class talent. He's going to have to, get back to that level. I think the most important thing is an opportunity to get regular football, but it's not a given. You're going to have to go there and work hard every single day. Yes.
Can he get that spark back? Because it's clear that he's lost it, hasn't he? At the moment, he's lost that little spark. So can he get that back? Can he
well,
get
I think sometimes you can get lost at a football club. There's been managers come in and they've not really fancied them. And he's found himself out the team straight away, and all of a sudden, when you're not in the plans of a new manager when they come in at first, it's going to be hard. But as we spoke about earlier, it can't always be the manager's fault. So it's down to Dele Alli to go there and apply himself. We spoke about Everton earlier on in terms of what they need. I don't really see, obviously with the Corey injured as well, they need more legs in the middle of that pitch. He definitely brings that, but only if he gets back to the form that he showed for his, a couple of years ago.
And how much of a difference, Shay, does it make when you've got a manager who gets you, understands you, and just finds a way to bring the best out of you?
Well, I think by Frank bringing him in as well, he's been at Spurs for 7 years, Dele Alli, and he's maybe, I don't know, just lost maybe a love of football at times. And what Frank will make is demands of him every single day to work hard, put a shift and really dedicate himself to his profession as being a top player, because he was a top player. I mean, obviously Frank Lampard was a top player in his career, and he doesn't let you slack off. Every single day he'll be on Dele Alli to be the best he can be, and if he can get back up, as you say, to that level, then he'll be a good player.
Yeah, I mean, how much of this is, let's say this is down to Frank Lampard, isn't it? We've seen what Steven Gerrard's doing at Aston Villa. It's the same sort of effect that he's having on players, luring them in.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone needs an arm around the shoulder. Even I do sometimes when I come in here and you lot give it to me.
Every Saturday, mate, when I'm on with you.
I think I actually think that's what Dele Alli, it needs a change of scenery. And I think having someone like Frank Lampard, a goal-scoring midfield, and then that's what Dele Alli was, I think he'll help him massively. I think it would be a brilliant signing for Everton. But it's only, as Boyd and Shay said, it's only if Dele Alli can go there and produce. It's up to the player. The manager can do as much as he possibly can, then it's up to the player. And is it still in him? I still think it's in Dele Alli. You never lose that talent and ability, and he can score goals. I think it'd be a good signing for Everton. Sometimes a change of scenery helps you, and I do think it's a positive signing.
He's still only 25.
That's what I'm saying. You don't realise that. He's been there for 7 years. You don't realise. You think he's older than that because he's been around for so long, but you've got to realise when he was young, he burst onto the scene and he was really good, and I think he'll be good for Everton.
Van der Beek is in. We wait for Dele Alli at Everton with just over a minute of the window to go. They say, don't they, you don't see many transfers in January. It's a difficult market, apparently. Not this year. This was the window when Newcastle turned from bystanders to big players as the new owners flexed their financial muscle. This was the window when Stevie G was reunited with Philippe C, when Everton backed, then sacked Benitez, and Lampard seems to have landed a double deal for Donny and Dele, when Liverpool scuppered Spurs to sign Diaz, when Rangers were right up Ramsey Street, and when Lingard's boss said, you can go, but the club said no, when Burnley sold one big striker and bought in an even bigger one, and when Aubameyang embraced his inner Odemwingie, but his plane to Spain was not a wasted journey. And it was the window when the man who nearly lost his life on a football pitch in the summer returned to the Premier League. Welcome back, Christian Eriksen. It is great to have you back. Yeah, nothing much happens in January, does it?
And that is it. The window is closed. But
we think we need to give Jules a round of applause because that was excellent. That was brilliant. Well done, mate. That was well delivered.
He's good,
that was well delivered.
He's here all night, which is great. OK, look, let's just have a little bit of reflection then on this window. Where would it rank for you in terms of windows? It's been a lively one, hasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think obviously Newcastle, with the money that was brought into the football club and they've spent it, yeah, people are probably looking for a bit more, but I think that's because of, you know, the finances that are available. But, you know, as Shay touched on when it happened at Manchester City as well, it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to attract the top talent right away. The most important thing for Newcastle is staying in the league. I think they've brought in players that can do that for them. There's been other, you know, fascinating transfers, but, you know, I think, as Jules touched on there, I think the big one for me would be Christian Eriksen, just being back on a football pitch. It's an unbelievable story from where he was, and just hope, yeah, I mean, people will say you get back to the level he was at before. Even if he doesn't, just to see him run out a football pitch again would be a terrific story.
It's funny you touch on that one, because I was interested to see what Fabrice Muamba thought of the situation. Actually, he's dead against it. He said, look, just don't do it. You've got a family, you've got a wife, just don't do it. Don't go back on that football pitch. It's a difficult one for us all to look at. We've never been through that sort of experience.
Yeah,
but what would you say?
Yeah, but I think, you know, obviously Fabrice Muamba's experienced the other side of it. Christian Eriksen, the same, but, you know, for me, he's not going to go against the medical experts. If they've told there's an opportunity to go on that football pitch and perform, I'm sure he'll know exactly what he's doing. You're not going to take a risk with your own life, let's be realistic. As I said, I just hope that he can get himself back on the football pitch. I said it's a great opportunity for himself at a fantastic football club in Brentford as well, who have done really well coming up. So you're just hoping. I said, yes, everybody, the fairy tale would be to see him at the World Cup with Denmark, but, you know, I think that's a long, long way away. But as I said, the most important thing was for him just to get back on a football pitch, and I hope he's safe in doing that.
What do you think, Clinton?
Yeah, that's for me, there's been a lot of good transfers. That's the best one. We saw those scenes and stuff like that. Him to even be back on a football pitch is good. And listen, he would have spoke to all the medics, and if it wasn't safe for him to play football again, I don't think he would have risked his life. It's just brilliant news, to be fair. When I heard it this morning break, and obviously there've been a lot of rumours, but him signing, being back on a football pitch at Brentford, a brilliant community club and a brilliant signing, I think he'll help them, because you've got to realise he's a fantastic footballer as well. I've always grown up watching Christian Eriksen, being a Tottenham fan, watching him at Tottenham. Fantastic. His set pieces are brilliant, fantastic footballer, and I'm just so happy he's back on a football pitch. You always hear stories, and this is a brilliant story, and I think it's a brilliant signing. I'm so happy that he's back playing football again.
Yeah, I mean, football's such a passionate sport, isn't it, Shay? And we all have our allegiance, and, you know, we hate the opposition week to week, but this is one story that seems to have united every fan, whoever you support.
Yeah, I think we all watched the TV in the Euros when it happened, and we were nearly praying around the TV. I was at my sister's actually back in Ireland at the time. It was like, we were all in shock, you know, and the hairs in the back of the neck, even talking about it, sort of stand up thinking, this guy could lose his life, his family are there, and imagine his family back at home watching the TV. You know, so it's a real fairy tale story. You could nearly make a movie out of it, because he's going to make a full comeback coming to the Premier League again. And I'm sure, as you say, Clinton, they've done the medical checks. He won't be playing football for Brentford if he's not secured with his heart. And I'm sure that's all been checked. And it's, you know, he's a fantastic player as well. They're getting a great player in their hands. You know, Thomas Frank is he's a great manager, I think. Excuse me, work with Eriksen and the under-17s in Denmark. So there's a bit of a story there as well. He's reuniting with him as a manager, so that's a great story.
Yeah, it's magical, isn't it? And I think Brentford, in terms of the club, to put their arms around it, like you say, they are a real community. They love the round that they do at the end of every match. They go and applaud the whole of the fans. He's going to get the welcome.
Oh, massive, yeah, massive. I mean, it's fantastic that, as you said, boy, the Brentford this season have been a breath of fresh air. I mean, I was at Derby for a few years, and every season we played them. They were a brilliant team, really difficult to play against, and that's down to the manager. I think he's a fantastic manager, and you know, so Eriksen will fit in really nicely there to that squad.
I just wanted to talk, because obviously during this window we've also seen a change of managers, haven't we, as well? You know, Roy Hodgson, has come in at Watford, so that's a big step back for him. The 74-year-old, young, Roy Hodgson. So what did you make of that, coming back for Watford?
So I was on here with Roy, literally a month ago. We were on here doing the transfer, and I said to Roy, I was sitting next to him, I said, you get the hunger to go back, or is that it? It's finished. He's like, maybe one more chance, Clint. So I'm thinking, did you know then, Roy, something was going to happen? But, Roy Hodgson, I said it when I was on there, he done a fantastic job at Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira is reaping the rewards now for what Roy Hodgson done. He set the foundation. They were hard to beat, and they didn't concede many goals, and they played on the counter-attack. I think he'll go into Watford and do ever so well for them. Watford concede too many goals. We know Watford can score goals, and they've got a lot of pace on the counter-attack, but defensively they have not been good enough, and I think he'll go in there and shore it up. And he's still got it. He will still be on a training pitch in his football boots at his age. He loves it. With him and Ray Lewitton, I think Watford have got a chance with Roy Hodgson, because he demands a lot, and he'll go there, and he's a brilliant manager, and I'm so happy to see him managing still.
At the opposite end of the managerial spectrum is Frank Lampard, Chris. And I mean, on another day, this would be the big story of the afternoon. That was broken by Everton. He is their new manager. There seems to be contrasting thoughts out there. Some say he's the perfect appointment. Others say he hasn't earned this Everton job for what he's done so far as a manager. Where do you stand on it?
As well, flipping it back to an Everton fan then. What do you think, Jules? Is that a good one?
Again, I'm just being professional today. I'm asking you the questions.
I think it's a fantastic appointment. I really do. Yes, Shea obviously worked with him. He done really well at Derby. When you go back to Chelsea, he was under a lot of pressure, and obviously the transfer embargo as well. It was difficult.
Chris, stop. Sorry.
Breaking news.
Sorry to do this.
Oh.
I've just seen from my colleague Alan Myers, the deal sheet is with the Premier League for Dele Alli to complete his move from Tottenham to Everton on a permanent deal. Everything is in order, and Ali will become Frank Lampard's second signing at the club. We were talking about Lampard, and he is not hanging around, is he? And the deal sheet, we heard these words, the deal sheet. As long as that is in before 11 o'clock, deals can still happen, and that seems to be the case with Everton. So I know that Bill Kenwright and Daniel Levy, I think, have been thrashing it out in Bill Kenwright's office. Two guys who know how to negotiate a deal. They've done it for Dele Alli. I'm sorry to stop you in your...
No, you're not sorry.
But it's a big...
The viewers will be absolutely delighted.
No, you're not sorry. The viewers are happy. Let's move on.
It's the big story we've been waiting for, isn't it?
Not sorry.
Yeah.
It's not the big story. The big story's in Glasgow.
Oh, it's Aaron Ramsey, of course.
We need to come back to that. You know what I mean?
Come on.
We will come back to that.
It's been 45 minutes.
I know. Look, let's go back to Everton. Yeah. That's a great story, and that's Lampard, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as I said there, he done magnificently well at Derby. Then obviously, as I said, with the transfer embargo at Chelsea, it was very difficult for him to go in there and do it. But he's obviously taking time out. He will be refreshed. I think that sometimes you just get a fit for a football club, and I really do think that with all the negativity that was surrounding Rafa Benitez, I think with Frank Lampard, just the positivity, the positive vibes that he gives off as well, I think this could be a good appointment. I really do. Shea obviously knows him, worked under him as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, done a great job at Derby, got us to the playoff final, of course, and then the first season at Chelsea got them to the Champions League, and he couldn't sign any players, and of course lost Eden Hazard as well, probably one of the best players the Premier League's ever seen. So then to go in the back, that's 6 months into the second season, we know at Chelsea they like to hire and fire, and maybe a little bit unlucky not to see the season out. So Frank will be desperately hungry to show to everyone, including all us in the studio and everyone that maybe hired out and online or whatever, that he's a top manager, and he's very ambitious to show to people he's the same as he was as a player. He work every single day, work hard, and try and be the best he can.
I think the other thing as well, when you look at, he was linked with every job, so he must have been promised that this is the right job for him. He's not dived in at the first job that was there, because he seemed to be top of every betting site, in terms of going to be the next manager at X, Y and Z when they were firing the man.
But it's a big club, Everton.
100%.
It's not a small club. It's a huge football club, and it's underachieving at the moment. I think having an appointment like Frank Lampard will give the fans a big boost.
But it comes with a risk for him, though, because he's coming in, they're 16th in the table. with
But he likes that.
points off relegation.
I think he likes the risk of Frank Lampard. I think he wants to take the risk. How long do you wait, Vicky? A club like Everton come. Do you wait for the next job to come? How long do you want? He's been out of football long enough. I think once you've had a taste of management, you want to get back. And a club like Everton come knocking. Why not? You're not going to turn it down. It's a huge fan base at Everton. They've got a lot of talented players there. I think Frank would do well at Everton.
And also, Shay, in every way, really, he's a very different direction from the man he's replaced, Rafa Benitez. Is that important?
I think Boyd mentioned before that it was like me going to the Rangers. Maybe it was never going to work out. No, that's not going to happen either. But from day one, there was people going mental online, and there was some supporting because he was a fantastic manager, Rafa. But it was never going to work out. The first time they had a dip in form, the Everton fans were not going to have him. So I think it's a fresh start, and a lot of people are encouraging, saying this. He is a good young manager, Frank, and now is time to forget. Because the board were getting shouted at last week as well. I think they maybe to get out of the club as well. I think it's time they all come together, as a football club, the board, the fans and Frank, to get them all together again, because I think Everton, as Clinton says well, it's a great club, fantastic atmosphere when you go there as a player. It's always a tough place to go.
We've learnt a lot as well. Obviously for Derby, then Chelsea, then getting the sack and everything as well. We've learnt a lot. He'll have grown up as a manager and reflected on his time, from Derby, where he was calling all the shots, to going into Chelsea, where he's obviously struggled, not being able to bring in players. That's a good fit. I think that's a good fit. You're happy, Jules?
Well, again, let's get to Vinny O'Connor now, who's covering Everton. Of course I am. Let's get to Vinny O'Connor, who's covering Everton for us, because we brought you the news about Dele Alli. Everton fans have been waiting with bated breath, and Vinny O'Connor can confirm the news for us. The window may be closed, Vinny, but the deal is done, yeah?
It looks to be. It certainly does. And with regard to Dele Alli, the deal sheet is obviously... And by the way, it's just been nice to hear you all talking so highly about Everton at the moment, having covered Everton for so long. But, and Bill Kenwright, don't forget, has made a habit of getting these late deals over the line. And I think we said a little bit earlier on as well just how we expected that deal sheet to go in. And this announcement as regards Dele Alli signing for Everton would probably go past 11:30 this evening. And certainly we're on course for that at the moment. And it was a deal that was thrashed out between the Everton chairman Bill Kenwright and Daniel Levy this afternoon. Dele Alli then effectively agreeing to a 2.5-year deal here. The fee is based on performance-related add-ons and could rise as high as £40 million. And for Everton, it's a decent deal, isn't it? Because if Dele Alli isn't a success, then they don't have to part with too much money. If he is a success, then they don't mind forking out as much of that £40 million as they need to. Of course, it all points towards such a successful first day in charge for Frank Lampard, given that he's already secured Donny van de Beek on loan until the end of the season as well. And Van de Beek very much attracted to the club, not just because it's Everton Football Club, but because of Frank Lampard's appointment as manager. Same goes for Dele Alli as well. Van de Beek says he's ready to go into that Everton first team for the Newcastle game, which is a week tomorrow. Of course, he's cup-tied for the game against Brentford in the 4th round of the FA Cup on Saturday. And yeah, with the backroom staff also announced today, and confirmation we're getting that Alan Kelly, the goalkeeping coach, and Duncan Ferguson will remain part of that backroom staff as well. It all points to brighter times ahead and goes some way to appeasing, or at least showing that the club is looking to take steps to appease the fans who've obviously been frustrated at a lack of progress on the pitch in recent years.
Vinny, thanks very much.
OK, so Clinton Morrison pretty happy because Crystal Palace got a couple of deals over the line. Michael Bridge, what have you got for us to confirm that news that we can see at the bottom of our screen? Well, it's just gone, actually.
Confirmation. Luke Plange has completed his move from Derby County to Crystal Palace, but he is staying at Derby County on loan until the end of the season. So that's great news for Wayne Rooney. So the EFL, no problems about him staying. Wayne Rooney saying yesterday, I can't let anybody else leave. Palace really good in the EFL market. So he stays at Derby County. Patrick Vieira will have him next season. Patrick Vieira has got Jean-Philippe Mateta this season. He signed him on a permanent deal on a 4-year contract. Palace tell me around £9 million. Mateta didn't look like he had much of a future during his loan spell at Crystal Palace, but he's turned it around. Some excellent performances over the last few weeks. So he gets a 4-year deal at Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace, usually very, very busy deadline day, but they had a really good summer, and it shows. Patrick Vieira doing a great job. So 2 strikers confirmed today, all done at Crystal Palace.
There were a number of deals we were waiting for when the clock struck 11. Carvalho still waiting for news of him to Liverpool and back to Fulham on loan. We've just brought you up to date with Dele Alli. That is happening. The other big name we were waiting on was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And Dharmesh, you have news.
Yeah, we're still waiting for official confirmation from Barcelona and Arsenal, but I'm told in the past few minutes that he has passed his medical and Barcelona have signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It's on a free transfer. It's a permanent deal. It's a good deal for all parties. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang gets to stay at a top European club, which he wanted to do. He's taken a pay cut. Arsenal don't have to be saddled with that £350,000 a week wage, so they've made a saving of around £25 million on his wages. Joined 4 years ago to the day, didn't he, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? His Arsenal career is now over. A new chapter begins. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is a Barcelona player.
You see, as we always know, the deadline might be 11 o'clock, but stuff keeps on happening. Do stay with us. Any more deals that come through, we'll let you know. But Aubameyang is heading to Barcelona.
Yeah, so Aubameyang on his way. Dele Alli on his way. What about Fabio Carvalho? Is he leaving Fulham to join Liverpool? Let's get the very latest from Craig Slater, who should be there for us.
Well, we built up to Fabio Carvalho coming here. Unfortunately, Liverpool have run out of time. Liverpool and Fulham, I have to say, to get this done. Ultimately, there wasn't enough time to do everything. It was a complicated deal. Liverpool were buying the player. He was then going to be loaned back to Fulham for the remainder of the season. And that added complication, and the fact that the deal sheets weren't sent to the EFL in time means that, given the loan aspect of this was non-negotiable in terms of the transfer to Liverpool, ultimately Fabio Carvalho has not been able to make his transfer from Fulham to Liverpool. So that one might linger on until the summer. Remember, we explained Liverpool wanted to get it done now, that rather than waiting to the summer, because they didn't want to deal with a transfer fee tribunal for the player. But it's also a headache for Fulham, this, because Carvalho is out of contract at the end of the season. He will either go via a fee agreed by the tribunal. Potentially he could go to the continent and Fulham not receive anything more than a token fee for him at all. So disappointment in the end that this hasn't happened, but still it has to be said, a very satisfying transfer window for Liverpool, particularly with yesterday's signing of Luis Diaz, who was their principal target. But unfortunately they have missed out on Fabio Carvalho tonight. At the death, they did everything to make it happen. Ultimately, a fee agreed between the clubs. It has not got over the line.
OK, brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Craig. Clinton, Liverpool got to be disappointed that they didn't get Carvalho, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I'm gutted for Carvalho. He's a serious talent. He's one of the best youngsters there is in the Championship. I don't get excited about players, but he excites me. He's so smooth with that football. I thought it would have been an outstanding signing for Liverpool. Listen, I think it might still happen in the summer. I hope it does, and I hope he does go to Liverpool, because I think that young man deserves to go and work under someone like Jurgen Klopp. I think Marco Silva's doing a good job with him at Fulham, but someone going to a club like Liverpool, as a youngster, that's what you dream of. And Carvalho obviously thought he was going to be going to Liverpool. It's not going to happen, but he's just got to get his head down, keep producing the form that he's been doing at Fulham. Everyone's talking about him. He's an exciting young talent, and hopefully in the summer it does happen. But yeah, I'm gutted for him, because the youngster's got some serious ability.
Be interesting. OK, thanks, Clinton.
Right, so that one didn't happen, but this one did. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, as Dharmesh told you, has left Arsenal and joined Barcelona. They have signed him on a free transfer. He headed to Spain, was waiting to see whether the deal could get done today. At one point, it looked like it was off, but it is on. And he swapped the Emirates for the Nou Camp. His time at Arsenal is over. More on that and any more deals that get done right here on Deadline Day.